nation, destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for, looking for, looking for, looking for. Hey!
Alrighty then, I think we've got everything just about settled down there. I just realizing that some of the things have fallen off as far as the sub goal, and the follower goal was a little messed up, so I had to fix that just a bit. Want to have that stuff squared away, I guess, before starting the stream there, because I don't want to be showing misinformation. But I guess one of the subs that I had, I guess I must have fell off. That was one of the things that I was trying to readjust there, but checking things out there, I guess it did necessarily. I did have one that must have dropped off, so that is obviously precise as far as the sub goal. And the follower goal is correct as well, so I just wanted to make sure all that was good to go first before continuing on. With all that being said, I'm just getting some things set up here to do a little bit of dabbling with some track building in and for Sandbox Utility NASCAR Racing 2003 season. Part of the reason why I've decided to go this route, and I know I do tend to supply quite a bit of informations regarding NASCAR Racing 2003 season, is like most would probably beg to ask the question, why in the world are you tackling, I guess, a 15-16-year-old racing simulation? Well, part of that reasoning is there's still plenty of interest in for it, so that's first and foremost. But the other thing is there's a lot of modding utilities out there, like the sandbox utility, for example, as we're going to go over here in a second, that are completely available. And whether or not one takes the initiative, I guess, to divulge into learning the ins and outs of it, it's not a very user-friendly program, to be perfectly frank. It's got a huge learning curve, and that is some of the things that I tend to want to go over. And I might dabble in a couple of different aspects, I guess, as far as using the sandbox utility for NASCAR Racing 2003 season. But just to clear out any confusion or what have you as far as how to properly build a track, edit an existing track, what have you. I'm going to go over a lot of that type of things because I think that information seems to be needed. And the fact that there really isn't too much in the form of video tutorials out there that I have seen that are probably really worth anything, I felt it necessary to go ahead and do this. And this is something I like to do anyway. I'm constantly getting my fingers dirty in the sandbox as far as just working on different types of things to do. You know, such things have shown in the past, like the 3D Safer implementation, as far as particularly, I guess, with creating 3D objects to at a loss of words as far as to complement. I think that's the best word. Complement against the geometry of the track. So it's like there's one thing that you can create, like a wall, say for example, in the form of geometry that comes with the sandbox utility and the simulation itself. But there's ways to be able to create 3D models, I guess, of something that would be considered geometry of the track. So that's some of the things that I particularly and generally want to go over, I guess, in this stream. However long that takes me to do that, if it ends up, being roughly the 3 hours that I generally do this, then that's what I'm going to do. But diving right into it here, I think I got this thing set up enough to kind of give you an idea. And this, bear in mind, this has nothing to do with, I think I had that set up right. There we go. Switch that over here. So this has nothing to do with anything in particular that's going on. This is just something that I have, this is one of those tracks that obviously needs to be rebuilt from scratch. I know this has been talked about quite a bit in the Enter 2003 community, and it's something that I've taken the initiative, I guess, to go ahead and make a SAT image, get something that's recent, something that's current as far as the roval of this track, as they call it, for Charlotte Motor Speedway, and to show what would need to be done, more than anything, as far as to create that track and make it usable. It does not work, and I'm not going to go into it too much as far as like how the rights and wrongs as far as taking something that's already in existence and trying to hack that up to make that work in a different way. It's kind of like reinventing the wheel. Okay, the wheel already works, so the fact that you want to necessarily change how the wheel actually works, it makes no sense. So this is part of my logic and philosophy as far as like if there's something new that's in reality, even though there's something that's already in existence that could be potentially used, you're basically recreating the wheel, and it's just wrong to do it that way. And I'll just make that abundantly clear. So what I intend to go over, Racer James, how we doing there, bud? Glad to have you. I don't know if you caught my little spiel there, but I was just kind of ranting a little bit as far as I know you and I have talked about this, I guess, offline, as far as the necessity for plenty of tracks that are being reconfigured and what have you in the NASCAR Racing 2003 season simulation, and all these hacked up tracks as far as how something already in existence, doesn't matter from which modding group, they're just getting hacked up and whatever, and it's to me it's just a band-aid. Either a band-aid, and as I explained earlier, as far as like just reinventing the wheel. You've already got something that's already working as it is. Why screw that up? It's just like it just makes no sense to me. So just not notice the SAT image doesn't show the backstretch bust off. Yeah, see, and that's I got this from they had this on Google Earth. I saw this was the closest one. The one thing that I paid attention in particular was this area. That had it for sure. Now, as far as the bus stop, like you mentioned there, yeah, I did. That's probably about the only thing that is missing. And this is the way I look at it. This is the way I look at it. As far as what's really important, I guess, as far as building this thing. Yeah, I'm not even sure, to be honest, James. But what I consider is this: you could primarily still use like the regular oval as far as the main track, and the LPs, like for these types of areas and that bus stop or whatever, you can design the LPs to go through those particular areas, if that makes sense. So it's like, regardless of the bus stop not being in the backstretch here, okay, and that's all it is just a little jog that they take, and it just slows them down. They come off of turn 4, go down the backstretch, they take a little loop, and then they get back onto turn 3. So my whole thing is like you can just build the track, even with the way this SAT image is, and even to include this area, you can just build basically like they're going to run this way, and then just design the LPs to go in this area. You can apply, and I'm going to go through all this. You can apply at any given track section segment even for that to be open on both the left and right side. So it means even if you hit the extent, I guess, of a particular track segment, it's going to be open. You'll be able to cross over that. That's going to be the same goes for this area that where they go into for the the first turn, going into the infield here, going through the pit road, if you will. That's going to have to be designed in such a fashion too. And like I said, I'm going to go over a lot of this throughout the course of the stream. But as I have it right now, I just created this. This is common scratch build building practices. You just to get a PTF, just to get an initial PTF in there and being able to apply your background image, you just create a straight, and then as it puts it here, it's just in the middle. And so this is my very first track PTF based on a scratch build. So I don't want that there. I don't need it there. So all I have to do, now that I have everything set, I've got my background image. It's all set, and I've got in here, I don't know if I can zoom in enough on this. Let's see if I can show this. I got all my parameters based on the measurements I took from Google Earth to let me know what this thing needs to be set at. As far as like, and primarily what I went by was as far as in Google Earth anyway, and I'm not going to open Google Earth. I'm not going to get into that. That's an entirely different stream. We have a stream that already explains a lot of that as far as creating a high def image and all that jazz. But you take your measurements, basically from midpoint here, say for example. I've done that as well as the cross reference, this way, as far as from the start finish line to the backstretch. So yes, exactly, James, and that's why I'm not particularly going to go through all that, because that information is available. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that at that. So I'm just checking a thing or two here. I guess the stream burped just a little bit. Hopefully that didn't screw anybody up too bad. All right, good enough. Okay, just checking some things here. There's been between my streaming software and Twitch has been giving me a lot of problems lately. In fact, my chat bot, which it's obviously up now, I had to reconnect that and all that stuff. It was kind of freaking me out a little bit. So excuse me, I guess, if I tend to chime in, I guess, about things going on with the channel, because I'm very particular about those things. But any case, like James said, the tutorial, and I should have put that in as a link, I guess, to that, now that I think of it. But feel free to go to Spline Design Studios website, and there's a YouTube link right at the top of the page. You feel free to go there and check out the how-tos in there. There's that video that referring to as far as getting the ultra high def set images set. Now I'm not going to say that this is a ultra HD high definition, if you will. I wouldn't say that. The image that I used, it ends up being the overall MIP that I had to create to get the background image ends up being a 4096 by 2048. So that gives you an idea. So there's a lot of blank space. But what I've come to find is it's a very crisp, sad image. You can clearly see, where the walls are, where the curbings are, things like that, and that's what you want. As far as where the start-finish line is, you can see all the lines on pit road, things like of that nature. So you want as much detail in your set image as possible. But I will not 100% toot my own horn as far as this being, ultra HD. You can definitely make your SAT image much bigger than what I've made it. I've just taken the liberty of doing it this way because the original image was pretty crisp as it was, is all. But yeah, definitely you can do that. So one thing I see that there is an anomaly, somewhat of it's probably not too big of a deal, but there's a little bit of a break, if you will, I guess, in this part right here. The rest of it, that's probably just something I missed there. I was really particular about the length of pit road. That was something That's something I usually pay attention to, as well as most scratch builds go. You want to pay particular attention to how long your pit road is, as far as when you're stitching your images together from Google Earth. Yeah, primarily like that's a big clue as far as like if your pit road length is not correct, then there's something wrong with your images as far as the way you're stitching them. And regardless if you're using the methods that are described, I guess, in the video that we previously mentioned. So, yeah, just leave it at that. So, yeah, what I did, just finishing it up there, not sure if I finished what I was talking about there, but in Google Earth, you would necessarily they have a ruler right in Google Earth. You can take measurements right on the SAT image within there, both your cross measurements from here to here and start finish line to the backstretch, and then that gives you a rough idea of where to start, at least on your what to set your background images. Now, keeping in mind there's a lot of blank space, so you have to accommodate for that as well. And basically what you can do after you get the measurements in Google Earth, and you can use those measurements from Google Earth as a starting point, you can use the linear guide that comes right in Sandbox here and stretch that out. See, it ended up being 960 meters. I just gotta remember this. I've done this all previously off stream. So I set this to 960 meters, roughly in the middle. And that was how I know the measurement. And it's really tough with the linear guide, I guess, to get it precise. But as long as you can get it pretty close to 960, let's see, that's 961. That's 959. All right, right about that. It's a little bit over 960, but that's about 960 meters from the middle of 1 and 2 to the middle of 3 and 4. Okay, so that's how you would, when you go into adjust your image, it'll be like not the right size, let's put it that way. But you would go in here and adjust it accordingly until those points on your background image are lined up with your linear guide. And I can kind of show this just a little bit. I'll put it back to 0. Let's remember that. And I've got my information down here already, so I can change that without. So if I go like this and just change this to 0, for example, okay, that kind of goes away. So I can go back into that, and I'll change this just for purposes. I'll put it at 960 just to show. Let's do 960 and then just do OK. See, and then what it does is you'll be able to adjust it. See, when you initially put it in here, I forget what measurement it might be at 0. I can't remember, but it won't be the right size. So you'll have this linear guide to use that, and that's based on your measurement from Google Earth to set your image size. Okay. Yeah, so this is what you'll do, and then you'll, like I said, I set up to 960 initially because that's how I knew, but then you got all this empty space to deal with, right? So that's why it ends up being bigger than 960, because you've got this space to deal with on either end of the image, because this is all part of the background image as well, as far as that black space. So that's why it ends up being 1445 instead of 960. But because you're going by your linear guide is set to 960, that's how you know, because that's a 1-to-1 as far as compared to Google Earth, as far as the size that you need to be. So I'm going to set this back to 1445 as I need to be. 0.00. Okay. And then do the same way with your cross measurement, I guess, from the start finish to the backstretch. Same, get the measurement in Google Earth. Take your linear guide, and I don't remember what it was. Let's see if I can kind of get an idea. I think it ended up being 44, if I remember correctly. Just going by memory at this point. I think it was 44. So I set it up to 484. That's just a shade under. And then you do the same thing, just as you did with the... so that's just a brief summary as far as how you want to do that, as far as to get that set up. That way you know your image is correct as far as laying down your track segments. You would be next to 1-to-1 measurement-wise as far as from Google Earth into Sandbox. So And a lot of that information is gone over in the video on Spline Design Studios that James did for the ultra high definition SAT image. It's, all that information is in there, so feel free to check that out. So I'm going to turn off the linear guide. Don't need it anymore. And like I said, what you initially end up having to do once you get that, you have to lay down a straight just to have something in the PTF so that you can save it to your edit folder. And that's, in fact, I think I got, let me see if I can get this open here. That was something else I missed. So if I go here to, I'm just creating this as Charlotte Roval. So what you do, and you won't be able to put your image in there because you need to save a PTF with a straight in it first. To save that, that's your initial PTF. Most cases it's going to be a throwaway. But when you open Sandbox and you want to get your image in there, it's not necessarily going to let you do that because you don't have the directory to which you're trying to refer the Sandbox to. Okay, so you have to basically create a straight just by right click, and it'll put it in the middle, and it does that's fine. Save it as a PTF. Close out of I usually close right out of Sandbox completely. And in fact, I can probably go through this whole motion again just to show how that goes, to be perfectly honest. So let's do this. I'm gonna go. Let me just do a new, and I don't want to save any of that because I've already got that. So let's just go right from scratch. And it may not necessarily let me do this. In fact, let me go through this whole thing. I'm just going to create just a erroneous folder, something I'm not going to keep. Let me just create a new folder. I'll go through this whole process. So as far as starting your track off, all right, do a right click, do a new folder, and just name it whatever. Just whatever you're going to plan on naming it. And usually what the method that I use, if it's going to have a space in it, I'll put underscore. Don't have to. It's to me, I just feel it's good etiquette. And then I always apply a track mat folder. And even though I may not necessarily have it, whoops, and I put a space in that. That's not what I wanted. So yeah, track mat, all one word. This is the format, most scratch build. And then if you have a set amount of, not a set amount, but a set textures, there's some general textures, I guess, for your track mat, as far as your track surfaces, your walls and such like that. You can go ahead and put those in as well. I basically stole the ones that were from the default Charlotte with some extra added stuff. But if you have a set, you don't have to have any track mat textures in there to start, save PTF, for example. You don't have to. It just helps to have some in there, so that way when you start laying things out, you got something available. So to use some textures that you're familiar with, that they're going to look good, I guess, for whatever build that you're going to create. And then I'll just paste those into my newly created folder, in this case here. Put those in here. I'll just paste them in there. And then I'm going to put these at medium, just so I can see them all in this orientation. And then from here, all you got to do is open up your Sandbox. Okay, let's open up my Sandbox. See if this will cooperate for me. Yeah, it's been doing this. I don't know why. As far as getting off center, that's okay. Alright, so you got your Sandbox utility open. And then what you want to do is, from this point here, whoops, why is it doing that? Sorry about that. So what you want to do from this point, and this is going to be a blank slate. You're starting from scratch, right? So you want to just right click and do create straight, and just leave it just like that. Okay, you don't even worry about it. So yeah, once you have this down like that, you want to save and point to your folder that I just created. In this case, it was my track. So I'm going to navigate to that folder, and I got a bunch of tracks in here, so don't worry about those. So this is the new folder I just created. It's brand new. And then to save that PTF. Okay. So that's your first step. Then what I do completely is close it out. Okay. Now from here, I'll change this orientation here to medium just so I have it this way. Now you've got your track PTF, and it'll create this SBX file. That's normal. From here, you can apply whatever background image that you have. So in this case, I will use that Charlotte Sat image that I created. I'm just showing the process as far as what you would do to build a scratch build. That's what I want to primary. Why do I keep doing that? Alright, so go down to my track. And this is just temporary. I'm just showing this just for demonstration purposes. So this would be your background image. You got your save PTF. So now you can do one of two things. You can either double click on the track PTF. What I like to do is just bring up the utility itself, as opposed to doing the double click, which you can't necessarily double click on the PTF and it won't open. Okay, so got this sandbox utility back up. That is really weird. Why is it doing that? Oh, there it goes. I don't know why I did that, but okay. Yeah, my little open dialog, I guess, kind of hung on me this a little bit. That's kind of weird. So, but anyway, here's your track PTF for your newly created track folder with your track mat. I'm going to open that back up. Okay, and it's going to be zoomed in on that created segment, which you most likely won't need because that's in the middle of the world. You probably won't really need to use that. So now, from this point, you can adjust your background image. So in here, you'll have it in there. I already put that in that folder. That's your point of that folder. And it's 500 by 500 is the default size. And that was something else I wanted to show. So by default, the width and the length of your background image is 500 by 500. So if I put that in here, obviously it's going to be the wrong size. Okay? So this is what you'll need to adjust. So this is what your image will look like, and this is based on a 4096 by 2048 background image. So this is where you go ahead and apply your linear guide. Okay, and that's in the center of the world. And I'll set this to 960. Stretch this out here so that it goes to 960. And I take a little bit on either side. Try not to do it all on one side. Try to keep this as much to the middle as possible. So just stretch this out on either side or whatever until it gets to 960. You can necessarily just stretch it from one side and then just move it from the midpoint. You can do that. I just like to try to keep this midpoint, I guess, as close to the middle of the image as possible for this type of build. So I'm going to stretch these out just a little bit. You might have to zoom out, and that's okay. Okay, so 9. That's the toughest part, is to get the linear guide, I guess, where you need it. That's pretty close. That's just a shade under 960, which I know was the width. Now from here, now I have this set, I can adjust the background image, and this is where you want to go, and you'll find yourself adjusting it a little bit at a time. You primarily will start with a 960, and that's going to be wrong, but you'll see the difference here. So if you set it to 960, see, it's not long enough because it's still not to the end points here, and this is where you'll just have to adjust it until it does. So like, you know, it needs to go up a little bit, so I'll just try 1100 just for demonstration purposes. See, that's not quite enough yet. Go up to 1200. For that matter, we'll go with 13. This is what you'll have to do. Just, you'll see how it moves. So I'm almost to the where I need it. Until you get to, I'll go to 1400. That's pretty close. Okay, it's good here, but not quite on the other end. So adjust it one more time. And 1445 was the lucky number for our build there. Okay, so I did move this a little bit. You might have to move this just a tad. That's going to be pretty daggone close. Yeah. So you can kind of get an idea, because this is in the middle. That straight that you created there, that's in the middle of the world. So it's like this midpoint, I guess, for the linear guide kind of gives you somewhat of an idea of where. So that's pretty close. Okay. So now if you do the other way, and that ends up being 44, I think it was. I think that's what I said. And that's going to be from the outside wall on the front stretch by the start-finish line to the back stretch. So about like so. I need it to be 44, so I got to stretch this out. Alright, let's stretch this out until I get to 484. And I might have to zoom out just a tad. And to zoom out, and then that's probably another thing that a lot of people don't know as far as the functions for Sandbox. To zoom in and out is the Z and the X. So like to zoom in is Z and to zoom out is X on your keyboard. So I just do the X to zoom out a tad and set this to 484. And all I'm doing is left clicking. I didn't put my little key watcher, I guess, as far as that. I'm just left clicking and dragging that end of the linear guide. Okay, that's pretty close there. 40, little over 44, but not too much. You can get really precise too, like if you zoom in enough, like this, and this will work with when you start working with your X sections and stuff like that as well. You can get really precise if you zoom in on this point and then just check it that way. So like if you zoom in, that usually helps a lot bit more too. It gives you a little bit more precision as far as dragging this. So that's actually only 0.01 over 484. See, like that. So it shows you the difference. And I'll zoom back out. So basically, the more you're zoomed out, the harder it is to get where you need to be. So when you zoom in, you get more precise, you know, as far as being able to set that where you want it, as I just showed. So this is where it needs to be. So we're crossing this way. We're at 44.01, and 484 was the measurement that I took in Google Earth. So you go through the same process. You go to the background image, and it's already set to 500, so we don't need to set it to 484. So it basically, let me look at my image, because I already got that set. I have to remember what I had to set it to. So it was 730. And this is something else, I guess, that you consider when you're creating your background image. Once you figure out, I guess, by doing this, what I'm showing here, to put that information, and this information that I have here is basically this background image here. I just took a screenshot of that, took a snippet of that, and I actually applied that to the background image so that I know what it needs to be. So if for some reason something screws up, I guess, in the process of building your track, you can always double check that to make sure that it's still right, if anything else, amongst other reasons. But it's always a good idea to put that in your background image so that you know what to set it to. Alright, so I need to set this to 730, and you do the same thing. It's already at 500 by default, so like I could go 600. Whoops, what did I put? Nope, I did 800, my bad. So yeah, so like step it back here a little bit. So 600, you can see that's not wide enough. So just going through what you would basically somewhat have to go through. So 700, that's pretty close. And I know my number ended up being 730. So I'll just go up like that. And there we go. See, now I might have to adjust this a little bit to get it in the middle. And I can use that straight as a guide, as far as that's already in the center of the world as far as your image. So you can use that to put your center point of your linear guide there. So here's the outside of the track down here to there. That's 484. So now I know my image is okay. The size of my image as far as to move forward as far as laying my track segments is correct at this point. Okay, so that was just to go over how I got to the point that I did in my formal Charlotte Roval build. That was just to give that clarification as far as how I got to that point. So I'm not going to save any of this. I'm going to close it. You would necessarily want to save that as a new PTF. Always make it a point to tell, it makes very good practice to always save as a new PTF anytime you're doing something with your track. Don't get away from the habit of saving it within an already established PTF, because if you know that one works, if you're doing something fresh with it as far as the progress of your build goes, if you step on that one and something was wrong, you just done lost all your work. So it's always good practice to create a brand new PTF for everything that you do, as far as in the process of your build. And I'm going to go through a lot of that also throughout the duration of the stream. So I am not going to save any of this. I mean, I can keep it there for now, but I'm going to go back to my formal Scratch Build Charlotte Roval folder. Okay, so I'm going to bring back up my sandbox utility. Okay, and just bring this up here. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but that's okay. Alright, so we're going to go navigate back to, and this is weird too. I know it's bringing it up on that, but it's not bringing it up on, okay, there it goes. So now I want to navigate to, that's just weird. I don't know why it's doing that, but it's okay. I'll deal with it. Now, so I go to my formal Charlotte Roval build and open that PTF again. Okay, so and it's automatically going to zoom in in this case right on that that one straight track segment that I just, and you can just zoom out with your X, and that gives you your whole. I've already saved it. I went through there, and I might have taken it a step further as far as like my background image. After I put my straight in there, I automatically put that in there right away. And as long as you're saving it to that and not so, I kind of went against my rule as far as like saving it as a new PTF. I didn't do that because I guess I just had the confidence in that. I would always will always suggest and recommend that you save it as a new PTF. So like put the straight in there, save it as a PTF. Put your background image in there, open it back up, adjust your image, and then save it as a new PTF after you get your image established, where as far as the size it needs to be. I didn't necessarily do that, so I kind of went against my own rule just there a little bit, but definitely make it a point, I guess, to create a new PTF every session, no matter what you're doing in there, and even to discipline yourself as far as how much work you're doing in any one given session. So like, make it a point, because there is no automatic save and there is no undo in the sandbox utility. So make a habit of saving often as with a new PTF every time, and you may end up with 100 or more PTFs throughout the process of your scratch build. Nothing wrong with that. There is no limit as to how many PTFs you can have. So just going to throw those little tidbits out there to alright, so I'm going to just stretch this out a little bit. Alright, so now to this point, now that I have my image set and this track segment in here, I'm just going to delete this one. In fact, just to make sure I got everything there, I'm going to unlock all the geometry by right click, and then just select the center line. I'm going to zoom in here with the Z key. Okay, and then grab the center line. This is how I know it's unlocked, because you'll be able to grab the center line, which is this purple line in the center. So picture, if you will, this is the head and the tail of your segment. These here are your outer X sections that'll come in there by default, and this is your center line. Okay, and you'll see how much that makes sense, I guess, as a build as I lay these segments out. But this one I'm just going to delete, because I don't want that segment there. Now from this point, I can go to where I want to start, and where I generally start, and this is a good rule of thumb as well, you want to right click around the finish line. even slightly ahead of it, if you will, but as close to the start finish line, so I can zoom in on this actually. So I know the start finish line is here. Right click, and then do a create straight, and then you'll get your center line as well as your two your bounding here. So you got your head and your tail, your segment. This is the flow of the track too. It's going in this direction. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. You can see the arrow as far as what direction the track will be going. So that's something fair to mention as well. Okay, so from this point, and see when you right click on that, where that center line lands, is that the center line here where it lands is where you right click. So like for example, let me delete this again. So like if I do it here and do a right click here and do a create straight, see now that center line is closer to where I in this lane. So that's something fair to mention too, as far as like where you put your center line. Your center line doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle of the track. So like you have your apron starts here and goes this way, and this is your outside wall. You don't necessarily have to have that center line in the center. Okay, what that basically the center line represents, I should say, is where the cars, because you'll end up having to lay down your LP files, which is basically how your AI will behave as far as where they will run potentially. But the center line is basically it's kind of like the center of gravity. You know, that's the center point. It's like your median, and that'll tell you, and that's based on all the INI as well, based on the LPs and the INI as far as how far from that center line it'll tend to navigate from. So it is pretty important where that center line is. Like most tracks in this size, which are 1.5 miles, or a little over 1.5 miles, if you will, you want that to be not right on the wall, the outside wall, but close to it. That's a general rule of thumb, I guess, on that. Not necessarily center of the entire lane as far as all the way around the track. So like you wouldn't necessarily need your center line to be right in the middle of the turn. You want it to be closer to the outside wall in most cases. That's common practice, I guess, for building a track, I guess, with this. Oh, you did, James? I just caught on that. Oh, my bad. Let me see. Let me check that. Let me make sure what's going on there, James. Sorry about that. I just caught that. My bad. I was in the middle of my spiel there. I don't know what I did. Let me check that out. Okay. It's not showing anything in the... James, do me a favor. Does it have anything like at the top of the chat that says anything about... You might have to click on that and refresh your page, maybe. That could be. That seems to be the common thing, because there's nothing showing up in my event list. If that's the case, there's nothing showing up. So you might have to refresh your page. As far as not sure how that works for that, but I've heard that happening, I guess, to some people, and that's what they usually have to do. Yeah, it's usually, like I said, if you did that on your end, as far as to click on that like that, you may necessarily have to refresh your browser or whatever it is that you're watching the stream on, and that's what I've come to find. For most people, that's if it doesn't show, if the alert doesn't, because it's not showing anything in my event list that even took place. There's nothing in there. So that's probably what it was. You may have to refresh. I know that's sometimes what happens. As I find myself, as far as subbing to channels, that's what it'll do for me. It's like it'll show on mine, and it's like, okay, why didn't it go through? And it's like I have to refresh the page, and it'll bring it up. Okay. Alright, yeah, still nothing there. Just refreshed my event list there. There's still nothing in there. Okay, let's go here. Nope, absolutely nothing. Okay. Actually, now that I think of it, though, it's actually showing on the sub goal because I know that went back down to 2. That's interesting. Yeah, but that's probably what it was. There it goes.
Here we go.
There you go. See, that's what it was. Was that what it was there, James? Probably had to refresh. Yeah. Thank you for that resub there too, buddy. Appreciate it. Very much appreciated. Always a loyal supporter. Can't thank you enough. Yeah, so yeah, I did notice after you said that, and I checked that out there, it did change my sub goal, because it did drop 1. So yeah, obviously you had to resub there. Yep. So we only need the 2 more subs and the 1 more follower, and we'll have a giveaway. At least that's what's my intent is there. What I was considering, I guess, for that giveaway was a Steam code for Wreckfest. That's what I was considering, but whether that'll happen, I don't know. I have several other Steam codes that I could potentially use, but I may necessarily leave that up to whoever it is that wins the giveaway, as far as when I do have that giveaway. So that's something to keep in mind, I guess, for most of you that may be lurking in the shadows there in the chat there. If you're here and you're interested in that, you can flip the coin. Actually, I want to show that. You can gain yourself or lose yourself. You got to be careful with that because it can go the wrong way for you. See, I just lost some myself, so I want to show that out there. So that's another way, I guess, for viewers to earn themselves shots of adrenaline. On top of if you're here and you're watching the stream, primarily if you're engaging with the chat, you're going to earn yourself that much more in the way of shots of adrenaline. So I want to just kind of throw that out there a little bit for those that are in the stream. And you can check your adrenaline too by just ! Adrenaline. In fact, I'll demonstrate that as well. Yep. So yeah, I got quite a bit there because yeah, I'm just that awesome. Yep. See, James, you went and flipped a coin there. So yeah, got to be careful with that. It is a gamble. It is a gamble as far as like you can lose some as well as gain some, and it goes anywhere from 0. I think I got it set to from 0 to 100. So depending on on the heads part of it at least anyway. So I did put now that I think of that too, there's a couple more other commands that I have in there, and primarily they come in handy, I guess, when I'm actually gaming with the Wreckfest and what have you. But one of them I did put on there, and I think I showed that on Wednesday, but there's some audio cues, audio commands, and I do have them in the bottom of the channel. One of them that I like for sure, and anybody that knows Days of Thunder will appreciate this one.
Hit the pace car! Hit the pace car! Hit the pace car! What for?
I freaking love that one. It's just I had to do that. I have a couple of other ones in mind, for the other streams. I guess I had to miss Friday, unfortunately, and I felt bad for that. I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here, but Friday I had to miss for unforeseen reasons, and I'm gonna try not to make it a habit. That's for sure. I want to make that clear. That was just a weird thing, I guess, that happened that I had to do. But yeah, getting back into it though. Like I said, I'm getting off a little bit on a tangent, but okay. So we're laying our first segment out, and this is where I think it'll fit more appropriate as far as laying out your track segment here. The center line will end up being not quite on the outside wall, but close. So I use more or less that this dotted line, as far as this dashed line, as a guide, as far as where I wanted it. Now from this point, I can stretch this out, if I so choose, or just leave it the size that it initially puts it out there. But you see, you can pivot on either end. See, you can eventually just get it, over there. But I don't really want to do that. I mean, you can do that if you need to, like if you don't get it where you need it. But you can move both the head and the tail, to get it precisely where you need it. And then as far as these outer X sections go, I'm going to, and I think I mentioned this prior to it, as far as like when you're laying these out here, I'm basically considering just laying out the, as far as for the turns, I'm going to lay it out the same way as the regular oval would be. So that way you would have access to the pit road and not necessarily take the approach of making the segments go through here and all that jazz. Because the LPs, once you have all that even laid out there, you can have the LPs, which is primarily for the AI, you can have that go through those areas. That you can create your LPs in that fashion. But what is really critical is to get the layout of where the cars would necessarily go through this infield. And that's what I'm working my way to. So as far as these outer sections, I may not even adjust these just yet until I get it all laid out. Then I can stretch those out. So that's probably something to consider too, as far as like, don't worry about getting these where they need to be right away. Once you get it all laid out, then you can adjust those accordingly. That's probably oh, you did earn yourself some, so there you go. So it does work either way. Proof of that. Good job, James. Alright, so yeah, so what I'm going to do with all that being said, I'm going to reset. I just wanted to show how that track segment could be, and you can do those to practically all of them, but that first one is always very critical. Where the placement of that one is, as far as even this type of build, is pretty critical. So you want to be pretty precise as to where you put it. You'll find out as you go along. If I was to lay these segments, continue, and I'll probably run into that problem actually, that things aren't just going to line up all that great. And usually the approach I take is to just delete all the segments and start over. Especially where it screws up, I'll just backtrack and chunk those segments out and just go from there. So I'm going to delete this one. With that being said, and I'm going to create a new straight. That's about where I want it. I'm just going to leave this right where it is. I'm not even going to adjust the outer X sections as of yet, at least anyway. I'm going to stretch this out just a touch. And then now from this point, I'm going to do and append a curve. And then from this point, this will make a curve. And then I'm going to try to follow with the center line, I guess, as much as possible, the angle, I guess, of this dash line in particular. So like I'm trying to follow that. I'm not worried about where these are landing right now. I can already tell. I can use that as a guide as far as where they're potentially. I'll worry about adjusting all that after. So don't, like I said, don't bother yourself with that, because what'll happen is when you start stretching these out and you make a new, when you go to append a curve like that, it's going to include that, stretch out. So like I'm not gonna do it, but you keep it at that constraint. For starters. So just follow that same line as I'm doing right here. I'm going to apply another curve, pen another curve, move my center line. And like I said, I'm using that dash line as a guide. Okay, and I already know I'm overshooting this too much, because I got to make a hard left into this area. And that's probably something else I probably should have mentioned here as far as what my trajectory is, I guess, for this thing. It's like starting from the start finish line, it goes in through the infield. It goes this way. And from what I can remember, it goes all the way this way. You see, now I got to bring it up, because now I done forgot. Alright, so I think I'll do that. Because I think it's, if I remember right, it's this way. It goes this way. It doesn't use this, I don't believe. So it's on the right of the score tower. It goes through both, though, from what I caught. I'm going to bring that up here really quick, to be honest. Charlotte Roval. And I know they've changed it a couple different times too, but from what I understand, you go in and they basically come in and come out on either side of the score tower. Let me bring this up here. So let's go images. Yeah, so this should be... Yep, this was a day ago, so this should be the right one. So let me bring this over here. Move to a new window. Here we go. I'm going to move this over here. Alright, so this is what we're dealing with here. So as you can see, whoops. Yeah, so as you can see, turn 1, this is the start finish line. Okay, and then it goes into the infield this way. Turns 3 and 4 this way, so yeah, it goes that outer route, and then it comes back out on the other side. So the score tower is like right in here, thereabouts, because the pit road is right here. But from what I'm looking at here, the pit road must actually go into the infield then. That's interesting. I didn't take that in consideration. Wow. See, that, I guess that's something I didn't take in consideration here. So from what I get from it, basically, as far as what I said, it goes in on the one side of the score tower, which is right in around in this area, and it comes out on the other side of it. So what I consider is basically something like this. If I zoom in on that. So like they go in here, they go all the way around the course, and they come back out on this side of the score tower. See, and it doesn't even have that, because this is still a wall here. I just noticed that. So they're coming out basically here. Yeah, so this is not even 100% correct, I guess, as far as the layout, the SAT image. So, score tower is between the red and black lines. Let me bring that up again. Okay, so the score tower is here. Okay, that's totally... That's not even what I considered then. Alright, so... That'd be nice if they actually had it in the image here, but... So you're saying that the score tower is like right here. So, yeah, the image that I have here, now that I got that clarified, they don't even have those openings in this image. So basically the way it's supposed to go is here, and they come out here. So now I see the path. So this here is basically the exit of pit road, is what you're saying. So when they come off of pit road, this is how they enter back into the course, is right here. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. Okay, so the where I need to go is right. You see, they got a wall here, but it's, yeah, I do see that now. You can still use this. I mean, you still have the, you know, that actual path there. So it's like, what I need to do, this is where they go in, they go around and all that jazz. They come back out right here, right about in this area. So they basically come in and out at the same point. And it, like he said, is on the right side of the score tower, which is right here. Very interesting. Okay. So with all that information, I can basically traject this thing. This is where I need it to turn. Go through all the interior and then come back out. So that's what we'll do. So we're going to add another curve. Like so. And I'm going to turn this just a tad. Trying to line this up so that it goes through this area here. Okay. And again, I'm not concerned where this is landing so far. I'm just concerned more with the center line. Okay, so I want to lay my curve. This may not let me... Okay, hold on. See, I'm already off. So this is where the approach that I take to it is just to go ahead and delete it and start over. Okay, so I can necessarily scale this back a little bit and change the trajectory here. Okay, so pen curve until I can get this. This is pretty close. I like this. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So now I got one of two options. I can either append a straight, which I'll try first. And as long as that's following, see, now keeping in mind when you have a straight, when you extend this out, see how that's going off the wrong direction? This is what you want to be aware of. I mean, so I could necessarily keep this straight here. That should be fine. but I'll need to do a curve so I can have it go off this direction. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a curve, send it off this way, and I'm going to keep these relatively short segments so that I can, so it's a little bit more defined, precise even. So there's a wall right here. This is where they come out. So I don't want that to cross over, I guess, in that area, because they're going to come back out this way as well. And what I may or may not have to do in thinking of that, you know, later on down the line, I'm going to have to move that X section in. I think of it. And we'll get to that once we get there. But I think that's probably what's going to have to happen. This is why I tend to follow the inside or the wall. It gives a better... Yes. Yes, and that's what I was trying to basically explain, I guess, earlier. As far as to stay as close to this wall, it gives you a much more defined line. Now, see, what I could have done is kind of hugged, I guess, this little logo here. I guess you will. I kind of dissected this, I guess, right down the middle. But if you see how I've got this so far, how close I am to this wall, they need to stay over on this side. I don't think that's going to be terrible, to be honest. But this is what I consider to be a better route for them to take, because this is a pretty narrow path here. So you want to be more in the middle than more to the outside, I guess. This would be a wider area than this, you know, as far as where they're coming off of into here. Same goes for this. There's probably only going to be like one car, maybe two. It's going to be pretty tight from what I consider, as far as to get to more than two cars, I guess, going through this area until they get out here. This is where it gets wider. So it's really going to be interesting as far as how that works. So in any case, I think from this point I'll try a straight. See where that gets me there. See, I don't like that angle. Okay, so I'm not going to use a straight. I'm going to go ahead and stay on a curve. And I can adjust that. And that's something else too. You'll see these lines here, they'll kind of get wonky like this. You don't need to worry about that. The only thing you're concerned with is where that center line's landing. Okay? So I'm going to keep it relatively short as well. So I'll stay on a curve. And I'll move it this way. Yeah, so it's going to have a little bit of a jog here, and I don't think that's going to be terrible. I think that's still a pretty good trajectory. But you get the idea as far as how you're following this path. You know, as far as like staying within the boundaries of the... and you'll be able to adjust all these X sections and whatever according and appropriately later on, once you get it all initially laid out. So we'll do another curve. See, we're kind of wandering a little bit too far off there. Okay, so I'm going to take my advice and I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. Alright, then do another curve. Yeah, so this is a little better. See, I'm trying to keep that not right on that line, but pretty close to this. It's a painted line here. Okay, so I should possibly be able to put a straight in here. Nope, that's got the wrong trajectory. See, and you can't move it this way. You can with a curve, but you can't with a straight. But that gives you an idea of what you have to work with. So I'm going to do another curve. Move it this way. So far, that's looking pretty good. I might have to shorten. I don't like how it's getting kind of wonky there. It's kind of wandering out there. I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible. Alright, so let's kind of move this way just a little. Go with another curve. Alright, this is not too bad. I'm satisfied with that so far. So I'll do another curve. And I'm going to shorten this up just a little. Trying to dissect it. And it's really narrowing through here, obviously. This is all just a decal here. This is basically the racing groove right in here. Okay. So I'm going to go with another curve. Pin another curve. But you get somewhat the idea of how this works. like I said, you're primarily just focused on where the center line's landing. That's going to be your main path. And that's what's going to define as far as even, especially the AI, as far as where they're going to navigate from. Okay, so pen another curve. I could probably put a straight in here. Now that I think of it. In fact, I will try that. Let me try a straight. Nope, wrong trajectory. Okay, so we'll just delete that. Pen another curve. We'll adjust that this way. See, and you can stretch this out as you so choose. I'm trying to keep them relatively short because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Okay. See, I could necessarily go all the way this way if I wanted to. In fact, I might just do it just like so. The center line looks pretty good, and I like that direction it's going. Okay. So, pen another curve. And see, I don't like that how that is, so I'm going to shorten this up. That's good. Pen another curve. Yeah, this is really looking really good here. I like that. I am satisfied. Okay, so I'm going to do a straight here. Nope. Okay, hold on. See, and I can adjust this so that it's not out that way. So let's go like that. Pen to straight. That's a little bit better. That's not too bad. It's kind of wandering, you know, because it goes on an angle here. Let me see if let me delete that. I'll see if I can adjust the curve here just a little bit more. Pen to straight. This is pretty good. I like this. Okay, so but I need to go. Nope, I gotta refer to that again. As far as I think it's gotta go this way. I think so. Let me check that. So it goes this way. Right, hold on. So that's no. Wait. So they don't even use this part then? Is that right? Or does it have to go this way? That's not what I'm witnessing here. Let me see. Yeah, so it looks like they don't even use that part. If I'm reading that right. So they don't even use that part. That's interesting. So this whole area right here, they don't even use that. So they're just going straight through here. Alrighty then. Good to know. Alright, so yeah, so we just got to go straight this way and come this way. So we're skipping this area entirely. So that's probably why they got these barricaded off, I suppose. Okay, fair enough. So I'm going to put another straight. And I can scale that back. Actually, I think I'm going to use a curve because I need to come down just a little bit. So I'll delete that. So let's do another curve. And it's going that way. I see what you're doing. I'll pull it this way. Yep, so like I said, you're just watching where that center line's landing. That's your what you're mainly focusing on. Alright, so we're going to do another curve. And I might have to do a short one here. Oh, I don't like how that's... Okay, hold on. Let me back that up a little bit. Yep, bring it this way a little bit. And pen another curve. Alright, so that's not too bad. Now let's do another curve. Bring it this way. It's kind of wandering a little bit further off that way than I want it to. So let me adjust that just a little bit more. Alright. Alright, let's try it right there. Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, so I want to be close to that line, this curbing here, but not right on it. That's main focus on there. So alright, so pen another curve, And I might be able to put a straight in here, actually. I could if I wanted to, but I'll go ahead and just leave it as a curve. Go all the way down to here. Okay, then I'll pin another curve. Go this way. Oh yeah, that's marvelous right there. I like how that looks. Yep, it's got that nice distance between that curbing and that. Not really splitting it down the middle as far as the racing groove, but it's semi-hugging, I guess, this outside curbing, I guess you could say. Alright, so we're going to pin another curve. Go this way. Okay, so it does get a little bit wonkier. I don't think it's terrible, though. That's decent. So I'll pin another curve. You gotta go this way. Yep, so just watching where that center line lands. That is the moral of today's story. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. This is where I was talking about earlier as far as like potentially needing to move these X sections in. Yeah, so that's going to run into that, and that's could necessarily pose a problem as far as... so what I'm going to do is I'm going to suck this in as much as I can. And that's going to be right on where that wall is too, so that's going to be interesting. Alright, so I'm going to move this one in as well. Hello? There we go. Yep, so I'm just going to suck this in a little bit. I don't know if that's going to pose a problem. I'll have to test the track out, obviously. So I'm just going to suck that in as much as I can, so I can bring this back through this area. So it's going to come out this way, right next to it. So I'm going to pin another Wait, does that? Wait a minute. Does that have to use this area too? Let me check before I go any further. Nope. So it doesn't use that area either. Yep, so it doesn't use any of this either. Okay. So it just comes straight out here. So we're going to pin another curve. Come through this area. Ooh, and I don't like how that's crossing over that X section. In fact, I think the game would necessarily yell at that too. Let me see if I can move that. Wow, that is going to be super tight in there. But I'll go ahead and move this as close as I can. Alright. Alright, get the center line. Okay, pin another curve. We'll find out, I guess, when we test it, that's for sure. They must have literally updated the SAT image today because it now shows up. Does it? You know, I didn't use the histogram either. I think it might have come up, you know, that histogram that usually comes up as far as, okay, why doesn't it let me select the center line? There it is. Okay, so I can move that. Alright, so I need to move. Wow. I don't like how these X sections are touching, that's for sure. Oh my. Yeah, this might pose an issue. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, but I think that the simulation itself, as far as in the game, that might yell at that. As far as having those cross, we'll have to see. Alright, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here too. I'm taking my time. As I was saying earlier, as far as you want to save often, so I'm going to go ahead and save this as a new PTF. I don't lose my work. So I'll save this as track 2. And it just crashed. Beautiful. See, and that's probably because of that X section was probably on there. And you'll get this a lot of times too. When you're building a scratch track like that, you'll experience this quite a bit. So, but don't be discouraged. I think primarily why that crashed, if I had to guess, It was probably because that X section was crossing over the other X section. So this track PTF is junk, so I'm just going to delete that one. Let's do that. So I'm going to have to start over, unfortunately. But like I said, cannot be discouraged about that. You'll probably experience that phenomenon quite a bit with this program, with the sandbox utility. So that section with center line on the inside following. Yeah, you're probably right. You probably wouldn't be wrong. What in the world? Wait, hold on. What are you doing? Screen's acting a little goofy. Don't mind me for a second. Alright, let's get that up. I don't know why I did that, but that's okay. Now, what I need to do at this point is reopen my track PTF, and I gotta start over. So let's do file open. Charlotte Roval, track 1. So, we gotta start over again, which is unfortunate, but many track budget. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's for sure. It's like I said, can't you gotta have patience with this stuff. That's for sure. Oh shoot, I forgot to turn that one off from Wednesday evening. Pay no attention, I guess, to that donations. That's supposed to be for Wednesday. I'm gonna turn that off as I speak. Got kind of discombobulated. That's from Wednesday night. And but you can feel free, I guess, to go there. I mean, that's probably a nice little plug, I guess, for Wednesday evenings as far as donating to that cause. Very good organization. I like to support them myself. Hence why I like to do the streams on Wednesday with RexFest, I guess, on that. So, alright. So, getting back to it. So, we're starting over again. Back to square one. So, yeah, we're going to delete this segment. I'm going to unlock all geometry. Delete that, and we're starting over. Oops. Alright, come on now. Alright, just making sure it's got the center line. I can delete that segment. So, yeah, we just got to start over. But you got a little bit of, and you'll probably deal with that, more than likely. This game is very buggy, and it has the tendency to want to do that. So, alright, so we're going to create a straight. That's pretty good. Follow that trajectory here, and I'm going to stretch it out to about there. Follow the same idea that I had initially. I'm going to apply a curve. Yep, and follow those dashed lines. Okay. And then just keep going with it. We do another curve. We need to go this way. Yep, so we need to go through this area. Alright, so pin another curve. So probably what I'll end up doing before I get to that point again, I'll probably save again. Whoops, see, that went off a little too far. So I'll delete that one off to just this one. You know, so that's probably something fair to mention too, I guess, when in order to adjust the center line in the previous segment that you already got out, you have to delete the one that you're on. So like, because I want to adjust this one, I had to delete that other one. Because you can't select that center line again. In this case, this would be the tail, and adjust that way. The only way you can get at it is to delete that segment. So, alright, let's pen another curve. Oh yeah, that's beautiful right there. I like that. See, I think that's a little bit different. No, actually, I don't think of it. Yeah, I kind of did dissect that there, but it's going right through this area where I need to go. Very good. So we want to do, let's try a straight. And that's a little too far to that. So what I'm going to do, I think like what you were saying, James, is to probably follow more this inside here, so that it leaves room, I guess, from when I come through here later on. That actually is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. So let's scale that back here. I'm going to turn this in just a little bit more. So I'll probably follow more this inside on the center line rather than this outside wall going in here. So let's do a pen to curve. And that should, in theory, leave me more room for when that comes through here. So they'll go more side by side rather than right on top of each other. At least that's the hope. Alright, so append. Let me try straight. That's probably not too bad. I like that. Alright, so we'll append curve. Oh yeah, that'll work nicely. Yeah, so like I said, keeping the center line, I guess, on this inside wall rather than we took this approach. See, now hopefully I can bring this X section in, for example, and I can leave room for, I guess, when that comes in, when we come back through here, when I get to that point. At least that's, again, that's the hope. That should work in theory. So we go pen to curve. Alright. I don't really like how it's going way out like that, so I'm going to apply curve, but I want to shorten this up. Yeah, that's what I want. Something like that. Now I'll pen another curve. And you'll find yourself having to adjust, you know, the shortness or how long it is as you go, depending on what type of trajectory you want the center line to have. So, yeah, the fact that I've got it going basically from the inside to the outside here, you know, so it wanders from that to that, I kind of like that idea, to be honest, because it's like when you're coming off this corner here, you're going to tend to want to drift that way naturally. So, yeah, kind of makes sense to me. So that's curve. Yep, so we're going right through this area here. Pen another. I'm going to try straight. Yep, that'll probably work. Like that trajectory. So we'll take that all the way up to here. Not sure what this is right here. Is that a tent? Right in the middle of the track? That's kind of interesting. I mean, this image more than likely is not going to be a part of the track at all. This is just to lay the actual track itself out. So apply curve, and we need to go this way. Yep, so we'll kind of follow this curving right there. Okay, pen another curve. We'll go this way. Oh, that's kind of close. Too close. Alright, let me adjust previous segment. So delete that out. Just want to move this just a little bit. Pen another curve. There we go. That's better. Okay. Pen another curve. And I'm using C. I guess that's something else I didn't mention. I'm using the C key that centers wherever you got your mouse pointed. So like if I'm pointed here and I push the C, it'll center on that mouse where your mouse is pointed. So if I center over here, it'll go out this way. Push the C again. It's wherever your mouse is pointed to, and you push the C button, that'll center around the mouse pointer. So I haven't necessarily mentioned that before. Alright, just do that. So we do pen another curve. Oh snap, I don't like that trajectory. So it's way off the track there. That's not good. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Pen another curve. There we go. See, now we got it. See, it kind of goes, that's kind of a natural motion there. As far as like when you're coming off high against the curve, you're hitting the center, you're going to naturally want to drift to the outside of that, coming out of that corner. So that makes sense. So let's see if I can put straight. I think that's what I did before, but it's, oh, don't like that one at all. See if we can change. Have to pull it back just a little bit. There, this is not too bad. I can pull this straight here. We're bypassing all this in here, so we don't use any of that. So I'll go over to here, pen the curve. Oops, gonna zoom out of that. Bring that down this way. Alright, so I'm gonna scale this back just a little. Pen another curve. Let's see, I want to get this radius here. There we go. And that looks good. Okay, let's see if we can put a straight here. Not too bad. So bring this all the way down here. It's kind of wandering more than I like it to, so let me adjust that. Let's move it this way a little bit. Pen is straight. Alright, and then pull this down there. This is a little better. Alright, now from this point I can do pen to curve. Move it this way. There we go. Alright, pen another curve. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice flow right there. I like that. Satisfied. Alright, so we're not... I gotta check this out. So yeah, we're coming this way. So we're coming up to that point once again. And I think that's why our track crashed there, because we had those X sections basically touching each other, which is a no-no. Not good. Alright, so we're going to do pen another curve. So before I save it, this next time around, I'm going to make sure those are not touching. I got plenty of breathing room in it. Okay, so pen curve. This should actually not be too bad. Not too bad. So let's move these in just this way a little bit. I think we should have enough breathing room there. What we'll necessarily create is a little hole where this wall would be. And to be perfectly honest, I think you could probably model that wall. It wouldn't be collidable, but it would be visible. You know, that's just something I think ahead of time as far as potential fixes for that. So, oh, for sure. Oh, damn. Okay, I mean, that might be too. It could very well be. I primarily consider the fact that I had those X sections crossing. They were like too close, but all right. Let me see if I can. Alright, so now I'm going to get this off of that. I don't want that touching. Hoping that's I've saved before, not doing a road course, of course. It's just a roval, or just a regular oval, I should say. Alright, so it tries to recenter based on, yeah, based on the entire mesh, so it says it's open and can't find this exactly. No, that's not wrong. Yes. All right, so pen straight. Okay, that's not too bad. But I think I'll use a curve just so that I can change. Now, keeping in mind that there's a wall here, but this is actually where they come out. And so we know when they're actually racing this thing, this wall is not here. So they put this up here, I guess, when they're racing, I guess, the regular oval. So this won't be here. So this is something you have to keep in mind as far as... Alright, so it does necessarily have to turn this way, though. Okay, so I might have to shorten this up just a little. Kind of swing it out this way. So we'll do pen another curve. And I'll bring it this way. So now that we're going back out onto the regular oval. Alright, so we'll pen another curve. Now we're coming back on the track. Now I'm using that same idea as far as like getting as close to the outside wall as possible, but not right on top of it. And putting the center line in that trajectory. So I think we should be okay here. I like how that turned out better. There's a little bit more breathing room between those X sections there, as well as the center line align. You know, the way that's flowing is pretty good. So this is what we have so far. Let me zoom this out. We've got from the start finish line going all the way through here, following this route and coming right back out, and we're coming back out on the regular oval. And as I said, when we get to that part where they have that bus stop in the backstretch here, I think it's around in this area. You can basically just design lay the track segments out the same way as you would the regular oval, and then you can design your LPs, I guess, to go through those areas appropriately. You wouldn't necessarily have to have the segment going through that area. Yeah, I can see that now as far as like where these paint lines are open. That's where it is, because they put that there temporarily because they got like a big island that goes right here. I've seen the pictures of it. There's like an island that goes right here, and then they go through this area. You can see where the painted lines are missing. So they come down the backstretch, they go through here. But what I'm saying is you wouldn't have to necessarily design the track or whatever to go through that area. At least that's not the approach I would take. I would design it much the same way that the regular oval is, and then just move you can apply your LPs to go through that area. Smacked it hard today. That island, and that bus stop there. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it looks pretty good. There's like a lifted area, a raised area, I guess, where they got this deal here too, from what I recall. So, yeah, the exit of the bus stop, yeah. So like you whipping through here and smacked it. I could see that happen. Because you're carrying a lot of speed. I mean, you're going, you know, you've got a lot of speed coming out of this turn, and especially going down the backstretch. So you got to whoa way the hell up. You're trying to whip through that. I wouldn't doubt it. Alright, so now let's see if I got my, let's try applying a straight. Nope, that's not going to work. So let's try a curve so that I can realign. Oh goodness, I don't like that at all. It's got that little wonky there. Alright, so we got to change this. I might have to move this back a little bit like this. There we go. Now let's try straight. That's a little better. Yep. So I'm just watching how, so that's probably a little too close. So I'm going to back it up just a tad. Go to another curve. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, so the fact that you can use, you can intermix straights, appending straights as well as curves, there's really nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, you're going to end up having to adjust neck sections and what have you as you go once you get it all laid out. So this one I'll definitely have to use a curve. I like that trajectory so far. I'm not concerned as far as where this X section is laying. I'm just concerned with where the center line is going right now. I'll be able to adjust all that, the X sections and all that stuff later. Something you have to discipline yourself, because you can necessarily get caught up in wanting to move those out right away. Don't do it. I'll just tell you that, because as I explained earlier, what you'll essentially run into if you stretch those out already, when you append a new segment, it's going to include all that in there. So if you get into areas like this one here, that would have been bad. You would have had them all knotted up and whatever, and it's just messier to do with that. So just leave it. The constraint that it has when you initially lay the segment out, be it a curved or straight, and then just adjust them after. That's just my own advice there. Okay, so penning another curve. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I'm going to try and see. I hope this works. It's going to stink if it doesn't. But I want to see if I can basically get to the exit of 2 before I save it again. I don't know if that's gonna not work. I hope not. I hope it does, I should say. I haven't had any problem doing that before, but just like James had mentioned, as far as like if you don't have it, a closed-in center line, what Sandbox basically tries to do is it tries to center the whole track based on what you have here. So like what I have here is trying to center it, and it's not closed. Be it like the center line is not closed as far as where I initially started. That's where your PTF gets corrupted. So, yeah. I'm going to try. It's against my better judgment, but I'm going to try and see if I can lay this entire thing out before I save it again. And I'm going to pray to God that it doesn't crash. Alright, so I'm just going to change. So this is the outside wall right here. Right there. In case anybody was wondering. Alright, so pen another curve. So this is the point where I can start making maybe a little bit more, bigger curves. And just, follow this arc like so. I don't need to make them so short. Just as long as the center line, as far as, just watching the contour and the distance between the outside wall and where that center line is at. So like as long as it continues, I guess, to stay. It's starting to squeeze here a little tighter than I like it to, so I'm going to pen another curve. There we go. So I can maintain that distance, and then I can adjust it on this end. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, see, I like that distance. There's a little bit wider, I guess, right here, but that's okay. That's not terrible. Yep, kind of like that so far. So, yeah, coming out of the exit of 2. Let me see if I can apply straight. That's actually not too bad. I like that distance from the outside wall. And in fact, I might see if I can make this one long straight up to where this break is. That's where I'll want a different segment anyway. Now, this is where I was talking about, so you can see where the bus stop is right here. It doesn't have that physical island or whatever here, but you can see where it would go. What some would necessarily tend to want to do is to design the track so it goes through this instead of... I wouldn't do it that way. What I would consider is just designing it like this, and you can stretch those X sections out, and then you can put all those F sections in there. That'll be later. That'll be later on, but I think that's necessarily the approach I'm going to take. But I've stopped this segment here because there's an opening. So now I'm going to create another straight, pen another straight. Whoa, and I'll have to scale that back to where this bends. So just this area here, so I'll be able to apply this bend in the wall later on. I'm taking that in consideration. So another straight, and this goes kind of over the tunnel here. There's a little bump right here in this wall, so I'm going to factor in for that. I should be able to do at least one more straight. Yeah. And I'm just accommodating for this little bump there is in the wall. I'll probably apply that to it. So just being able to do that, I'm already taking that into consideration instead of having to split it later on, which I don't like. I don't recommend to do. Alright, so let's see if I can do another straight. Let's see the trajectory of that center line to the outside wall. Doesn't look terrible. Okay, so I'm going to see how far I can take this. Let's go about here. And then do a curve. Yep, just to maintain relatively that same amount of distance from the outside wall is all. Okay, so now I can pen another curve. Not too bad. I'm going to keep these initial segments here are relatively short just for now. Yep, seeing it's tending to drift to that outside wall just a little bit, and that's kind of the natural direction, I guess, of, you know, when you kind of drift up into the corner and come back down type of thing. That's kind of the same approach that I took for the other end of the track. Oops, got a pinned curve. Oh, I don't like the way that turned out. Okay, hold on. Gotta delete that. Got a little carried away there, so I pair a curve. Alright. I'm not sure why it's doing now. Okay, hold on a second. Let me adjust this. Let me scale this back a little bit. Don't like the trajectory of that so far. So let's go like this. Pen the curve. Let's see how well this one works then. So we'll do a pen, a curve. That's moving a little bit too far away, so let me do it this way then. Alright, let's try that. That may be a little bit further than I want it to be from the wall, but let me just play with this a little bit. Yeah, I don't like... Yeah, that's really close here and it gets further away there. I don't really like that trajectory, to be honest. So I'm going to go back this up and I'm going to adjust this here. So I do pen, curve. And we're going to fix that. Okay. Pen another curve. Okay. That's not too bad. It's got a little bit more distance here. But let me try another one just to see where we're at. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's not bad at all. Okay. See, but you get the idea as far as how much you can play with that. So you can, you know, like I said, you're primarily just focusing on where that center line is landing. So, this is when you realize they didn't have lasers back when most of the... Oh, yeah. That's for sure. Because, you know, something else, you know, that you have to consider as far as... Like, this track is completely flat. So as you're laying these segments out, they're all flat. So it's like it's zero plane. I mean, you have no banking in it whatsoever. That's something else that you would have to consider going into it. And we'll get into that much later. This might be a series of streams. Touching on all these different aspects, I guess, as far as building a scratch build. But yeah, this is just step one. I mean, this is just the first stage, I guess, as far as, you know, applying these types of things and just how much effort it necessarily takes, I guess, to do it. So, alright, so using my C key to reposition the mouse. Pen another curve. Yep, that doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit of wonkiness right here, though. I don't like that. Kind of wandered off a little bit. Let me see if I can fix that. I'll back this up just a tad. Kind of adjust that a little. Pen another curve. And this is where using smaller segments, you know, like this, like I'm doing, comes in handy. You don't want to get super crazy, I guess, with short segments, but yeah, see, you can play with it. Like I said, I can stretch this out here, and this is looking pretty good. Take it out as far as, you know, just looking at, you know, your trajectory, I guess, as far as watching this outside wall. This actually doesn't look too bad. Kind of wonks out here just a little bit, but that's not terrible. Alright. And then, you know, something else to consider, and this is why I was talking about this earlier part of the stream too, as far as this is another area. See, what I would do is I would design it much the same as the regular oval would be. You would already have that and just design your LPs to go through this area appropriately. And not necessarily, you know, design your track segments to go through here. Because what that creates a problem for is making your pits functional. If you do it, you know, in the fashion where you just follow this way, stretch your X sections out, then you have the option to be able to use your pit, this pit road that they do use. So, but even considering that, they do, the pit exit is basically right here, and this is where they re-enter back on the track. So I'm going to have to factor that in somehow as well. So like the pit exit, the way they re-enter the course is to come up through here, and then they merge in, in this area. So that already I can see that it might be a problem. I'm going to have to move these X sections in, like so, to make room for, to make room for that coming in through here. That's the pit exit. So let me move these, I guess, because I know I'm going to have to make room for that. And that's going to pose a really interesting, how in the world am I going to get that to, okay, so once I get to this point, get the pit road in there, I don't know how I'm going to get that to merge into that. Ay, caramba. That's a big problem, I think. Alright, so let me finish this up here, and I'll have to think about that as I go. So I'm going to do pen and curve. Oh, snap. Let's see if I can do it straight. Adjust that a little bit. Oh, snap. I don't like that either. Okay, let me see here. Might have to scale this back some. Alright, no problem. We do curve. Yeah, so we'll just have to do more than one curve that I had. Okay, so let's try it straight. I don't like how it wanders off to the middle. Let's see if I can change the trajectory just a little. Okay. CJ the Hat Guy, appreciate the host. Much appreciated. Definitely unique challenges here. A lot of testing will be... Oh, yeah, for sure. I can already tell, just even as I like this trajectory better. Like I was saying with the this pit exit here, I don't know how I'm going to get that to work, because I'm somehow... CJ, that's good to have you, buddy. I appreciate that host, like I said. What I'm building here is a track for a racing simulation that is 15 years old. The NASCAR Racing 2003 season. It's still very heavily popular, I guess, amongst a lot of racing simmers. And what they've done, and this is for NASCAR, that's probably as the name of the simulation suggests. NASCAR has implemented, and primarily with Charlotte Motor Speedway, they've implemented a roval course. And what is meant by a roval, let's see if I can get this in the picture here a little bit. It's a combination of a road course and a regular oval, because primarily NASCAR runs on oval tracks, where it would be just this outside of the track. But this roval, it implements the factor of going through all these turns here, coming back out onto the oval. So they call it a roval. So, and this is something that hasn't been built yet for the simulation, and this is a completely scratch build based on real life satellite imagery. So that's to give it in a nutshell as far as what is going on here. Now, what you won't see as of yet, this is just the raw lines for it yet. You won't see anything yet as far as any third dimension to it or anything as of yet. That's still yet to be seen. Now do you actually get to run the sim? Yes, absolutely. Once it gets built, and as James and I were just discussing prior to you asking, it will potentially be able to be used in the racing simulation to race on it. To take your car, set it up, and whatever, so you can actually do laps around it. So Yes, just like James says. Eventually it will be in the game or the simulation that you can actually drive on it. Yeah. So that's what we're divulging in at this point. And there's hasn't been a whole lot of tutorial on this type of thing as far as like what actually goes into these types of builds. I mean, these types of builds can go up and around, a few months to like a year. Racer James and I, for example, have divulged in a couple of scratch builds that have taken well over a year, I guess, to even get it solid, to be where the game's not crashing and any of your trackside library or whatever is not, is set to, it's not crashing the game and everything functions like it's supposed to, like the pace car and all this stuff. There's a lot that goes into building a track. It's not just like zip, zam, boom, and it's done. So kind of showing the process off a little bit as far as like what goes on behind the scenes to get from the starting point to a finished product, if anything. So, and we've been wanting to do, between Racer James and myself, it's kind of my partner in crime, I guess, as far as doing these types of things. We've been wanting to do a stream in such a fashion, probably more on a more collaborative, kind of like a multi-Twitch type of thing. But our schedules get kind of conflicted and real life gets in the way. So I've just taken it upon myself, I guess, to kind of grab the reins and take it running. So something else I just noticed in here, this is the restart zone. And it's very blurry, but you can kind of point that out too. That's really cool. Because I'd have to take a look at the SAT image itself or whatever, see if that's actually a lot more clear. So I hope that explains, I guess, a little bit there, CJ, as far as what we're divulging in here. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. We're always open to. There's the only dumb questions are the ones not asked. That's kind of the approach we take to it. So I think I should be able to put another straight in here. And I don't like how that is because it's kind of pointed right in. I could probably shorten this. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And go right to this, where this restart zone is. And I might actually define this restart zone as its own segment. That might come in handy later on. I've come to find in a couple of builds that I've been involved with that having your own track segment here, that defines this, it really helps, because not only with the being able to apply whatever graphics that they have on the wall, which they usually do, but also as far as like pinpointing on your track INI, as far as like what points, because you can actually go to that segment and you can get your D-long and D-lat pretty easy. So it works. It's kind of, beneficial in at least those 2 points. So something that I always consider. So I will probably make this area for the restart zone, I guess, its own segment. So like right there. So this whole segment would be the restart zone. And then for this area that they actually race on, they go through this area. This can all be extended, and then the race LPs, which defines where the AI go and what have you, to include the pace car, you can define those in that fashion. So I'm not going to take the approach of setting the center line, which is basically the backbone of how the track behaves, as far as like what direction you're supposed to go and what have you, and taking it through here and skipping this entirely. I want to include this as a part of the track, even though they don't race on it. I still want it to be there. So what I can do after this is all laid out is I can stretch these X sections out, these red lines, and actually include that all. And whether or not this will be an F section, that's still to be determined. I don't know if we could basically do that as an applique or an actual 3DO. Those are some options that we have, I guess, to create this area, to actually make it visible and know that when you're racing on, that's where you need to go. That's something that you can consider, I guess, as far as in the process of building these types of things. So not going to worry about it too much right now. I know we do have options, and that's really all I need to know. All right, so we're coming up to the end here. Let's see how close we can get here. Let's see if this will line up. Oh, damn, that's close. Oh, that's so close. Okay, so let me back this up. I'm going to change the trajectory of this just a little. And append another straight. I want to get that as close. Oh, that's much better. Okay. So now what I can do, hopefully, and it'll tell me, is I should be able to... Nope. So something's off somewhere. So let me move this way. These don't quite line up. So once you get it close enough, it should give me the attach segment, which it is not doing as of yet. So let's see. Sometimes you got to play with it a little bit. Get those to line up. Just trying to select these. Yeah, I could do that too. I just thought of that as you said that, James, as far as the prepend. I just thought of that too. It's just like it's usually better to prepend, and you have that option as well. That's funny. Yeah, so basically you go from this very first one that you lay down and do a prepend. So if I do that and just do a straight, yeah, and then go this way, that'll probably work better. See, now I'm getting that connection. So let me see if this will allow me to attach. There we go. Add head. See, and that'll automatically attach. Thank you, James. I know I can always count on you for some things. So I could have done it the other way. I would have probably struggled with it a lot longer, just like I was. But usually once you start a segment there and you want to close, you're on your last segment, you can do a prepend. That's usually the best route. And then once you stretch it out there to your last segment that you laid out, which was here, you'll get that you'll get that little wonkiness in the center line, and then you can right click on it and it'll give you that attach function. And then at this point, this is considered the head. So when you consider these segments, this is the head, this is the tail. And that's based on the direction of the track that it's going. In this case, it's counterclockwise. This track goes counterclockwise. So consider there's a start-finish line. It's going in this direction. So it's counterclockwise. All right. So I've got my center line closed. I want to see what is going to happen. I'm going to cross my fingers. Everybody cross their fingers together. Because this is always nail biter sometimes, as far as like if this thing is it going to save or is it going to crash. Save or crash. I'm hoping. I'm crossing all my fingers. Save as a new PTF. I'm going to do this as I already deleted the other one. Track 2. Come on, baby. Did it do it? Oh, I think it did it. I think I'm good. Oh, I'm golden. Sweet. All right, so it didn't crash. That's good. It saved the PTF. So I have it closed, and I have at least that part of the track done. Now, with all this being said, I need to figure out how copy that mofo to the yeah. Well, see what I do, and I think we've gone over this before, James, as far as that goes. I just run, I'll create a new PTF even as I go from this point. You know what I mean? And once I've got a working PTF, as I got several of them in here, I'll chunk them out. And yeah, so like you're saying, like what I do, and you can get somewhat of an idea. I'll make a separate folder for just my PTFs, and I'll chunk them out there. That way I know I have a copy. So in fact, I'll do that. Now that I say that, so I'll have a separate folder for all my PTFs, and this is a habit that I got myself into. So I'm going to make a new folder and name this as Charlotte. Oh, I'm going to make sure I spell it right. OTTE Roval PTFs. And then what that does, like I said, what I do, and I'm not going to do it while Sandbox is open. I'll chunk out all my PTFs and paste. In fact, I guess I can do that. I'll copy all these over like so, and put those in that PTF there, so I know it's in at least more than one location, like this. And usually what I'll do is I'll set these up so that they're in sequential order from oldest to newest on the bottom as it go. And like I said, I might end up with having several of these PTFs. This folder will be full, so I get so nervous Sandbox is going to crash, save as 3, and then that's not a bad idea. That's actually not a bad idea. So what you're basically suggesting, I know what's saved as 2, right? So what I can do is save it as another 3. Nothing wrong with that. There's no limit to how many PTFs you can have. So let me do that. I'll save it as a 3. I'll close it, exit right out of it. So I have a 3. So I have basically 2 PTFs that are the same. As far as what's in it. Okay. And then I'll even go so far as to take that same PTF and copy that into my PTF folder. Okay, so now that's in there as well. And this is not wrong. Now I can do one of two things. I can double click this, or I can just open the application directly, which that's what I like to do. Get burned one time and you get, yep. I don't blame you one damn bit. As far as how buggy that the Sandbox utility can be, you're not wrong by doing that. I mean, that's a very good. Whoops, what is that doing? That's weird. I don't know why my monitor's acting like that. Doesn't. Okay, there we go. It's making sure it's lined up in the. That should be good. All right, now, so with that new PTF3, I should be able to open this, and it should open. Ta-da! There it is. Now from here, and this is like I was mentioning before, now that you got your basic path, I guess you could say, as far as your general layout to the track, and it's all flat. There's no textures to it, nothing. So if I go into my camera, for example, there's nothing there. And this is in this primarily starts in the center of the world, see, there's nothing to look at. So as far as there being any walls or actual track surface, there's nothing. So you still have to do that by applying your F sections and all that. Okay. Now what I can do from this point is what I'm considering on doing. The center line's already where it needs to be. I'm thinking I can move this X section, these X sections here. I gotta unlock all geometry. Gotta zoom out, right click, unlock. That's gonna allow me, I guess, to move anything that's, because basically the way Sandbox treats these areas like your center line and these initial X sections, these red lines, those are static. In its mind, initially when you open up the track, it says don't touch those. So that's why it has that lock mechanism there. For those watching, what you see is a spline layout, hence the group name spline. Yeah, nice plug there. Yeah, and that's not wrong. That's basically what you see here. That's exactly what it is a spline. This is basically a spline of the track. It doesn't have any textures. There's really no geometry to it. Like I said, as far as like even looking at the camera view, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing here. It's just a spline. It's empty as it is right now. So like I was saying, as far as I just unlocked all the geometries, now I can move these X sections here for the different segments, and that's probably what I'll need to do. Like this here, I'm going to have to move this out like so, because I need to accommodate for the pit road, because we want this area to still be functional, right? So I got to move these X sections in such a fashion. I don't know how this is going to work. It's not letting me move that any further than that, so that sucks. So I might have to do some. This is already going to be a problem, because I'm not going to be able to stretch these X sections far enough into past this area. I need to get it basically over here at least, so that I can have this be a functional pit road. And the fact that this is as far as I can go based on the constraints, I guess, of the segment, I'm going to have to probably chunk these out so that I can get it that way. These are the types of things you got to deal with as far as, so yeah, so the fact that I can't get the X section, see this part I can, but this I can't. That's as far as that one will go. And that's no good. So I got to at least adjust these two segments, you know, be it this one right here and this one right here. At least. So that I can get that X section out. Okay, so I'm just thinking to myself as far as how I would go about doing that. So I do know for sure that these need to be deleted, so I'm going to delete. In fact, I think I might have to detach. Yep. Actually, no, it has a delete segment. You just right click on it. I can delete that. Okay. And at least that one and this one. Oh, guess I'll have to do this one too. Yep. Alright, so we have to delete this one as well. This is where it gets really interesting now, folks. Because now it's going to come down to how do I... yep, so I delete that one. Now I'm going to bring this one back down, just for the time being. I got to get it so that the trajectory of that, the bounding, and be it the yellow lines that you saw there, are going to extend into this area. Now it's behind these pit boxes here. So let's do an append curve. See, now the way this is right now, that'll work because I can get that X section into this cone area. But the trajectory of the center line is no good. So let's see if I do this. Alright, so far that's... See, it needs to go here. Alright, let me bring this one back in, actually, now that I think of it. That's what we need to connect to. We know this is good. But what I'm concerned with is, what I want to pay closer attention to is how this track segment is defined. As long as it goes into past this area, then I'm good. Because then I know I can move that X section into that area. And it'll make sense, I guess, as I do this. So I do append the curve. Let's bring that back. See, I can I've got enough room to be able to move that X section here into past this area. That's all I need to be worried about. Alright, so that should be okay. Now I'm kind of cutting, looking where the center line is. It's kind of cutting through here. I don't know if I like that. But I might have to, it might have to do. So let's do a curve. And I need to get this reconnected. It looks like it's already given me the, oh, I don't like how it's going over that though. That sucks. Okay, hold on, let me zoom in on this. Yep, so this is what you definitely don't want to do. See, I probably get it. We'll get the attach, but I don't want to attach that because I don't like how this X section is actually going over that other segment. So I'll probably use, let me use a couple of short segments here. See, that's not going to work. See, this is what I'm talking about. See how the way this segment is, it's not going into this area. So I can't do that. So had this issue with turn one. See, that's probably pretty particular, I guess, with road courses. And this is why I don't like working on road courses. I'll be perfectly honest. I think we have run into this issue before, James, as far as like dealing with road courses for the sim. And yeah, they are a pain in the butt. And this is a perfect example as to why. But it's just being able to figure out what's going to work best. So what I would have to do in this case, way inside of the, yep, and that's what I'm having to deal with right here. See, I need the center line well, not in this case, not the center line, but I need that track segment to be in this area. See, and none of that is, so I'm not going to be able to move that X section into what is going to be the pit area. So I'm going to delete that. This one is so far I'm good right here so far, because I can move this X section into here. Where it's no good is putting this next segment in. So let me try once again, curve. See, like that it's fine, but once I start doing this, see, that's where it shortens it up. That it's not good. Okay, so once again, let me see if I can back this up. See, I don't like how it's cutting into here. That's I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So let's see. All right, we're gonna make some adjustments here appropriately. We're gonna get this to work. All right, so let's see how far I can go radius-wise. Okay, so I'm good there so far. Pen another curve. I think this I'm going to have the same problem. Yep. I need to get over to this point. So it's like connecting the dots a little bit. So let me see if I can do this. Yep, as long as I got a track segment in here where I can move this X section here inward, that's all I'm really worried about at this point. So append another curve. Alright. Alrighty, so do append another curve. Come on. What the heck? There we go. See, that's where it's not going to work. Doggone it. Not going to work. Alright, so let's see. How far can I turn this to where as long as I got something there, I should be okay. I know this one's got quite a bit more, but I need to be able to move this X section somewhere in this, past the pit stalls. That's all I'm concerned with. So let's do another curve. Oh man, that's close. Good lord. Oh, that's so close. Alright, but what I might be able to do, and I'm just going to play with this a little bit, I should be able to curve this in enough. Oh man, that's a lot though. Okay, so what I might have to do, I'd have to have it something like that. Oh, I really don't like it because I wanted to follow that inside wall on this part so that I had enough room for this one, for that. Okay, so I mean that would probably work if it was like that, but I got this discrepancy right here, which is no good. Okay, let's see how much. See, I can't really change that trajectory too much because I lose too much of where the track segment ends. So I might have to make a small adjustment to this. Maybe even go so far as to scale this back and try to prepend a curve and see what this does. That might not be okay. Hold on. Is this gonna work? Shoot. Nope. So I need that on that side. Yeah. See, this is where it becomes important where that tracks, where these yellow lines go. That's where it becomes important where they land, because if it goes this way, it's no good to me. If it's this way, then it is. This isn't gonna work, but this is about when you need to consider, because if I bring it this way, I'm not going to have any way to adjust X section this way. Alright, so I'm just thinking, okay, is that the one I prepended? Yeah. I mean, probably attach that. It does give me the option, but I don't know if I like that. That's what I did. This is what I did was a prepin. In fact, I'll just show it again. So what I did was I went from here and did a prepin and did a curve, and this is where it landed me. Okay. But the thing is, I got to scale it back. I could try. Let me see what this does without adjusting it. Let's see if this will. Let's see, it doesn't give me the attach. And that's why I had to move it back. So if I move it back, see, and the problem is you got to get it as close, and that's going to swing it out this way. I don't think that's going to work. See, and it does give me the attach, but let's try this. We can always throw this PTF away, to be honest, because we're on a totally new PTF. So let's see what this does. So it did swing it back that way. That may or may not work. Let me see what that did here, though. I think it combined. Nope, it didn't. So wait. Okay, so that kept them separate. This is the other path here. That was what I was concerned about. So let me just double check to make sure this is all connected, which it looks like it is. That may necessarily work. Okay, so now what I have is the option to move this X section. At least I think it will. Dang it. Oh, crap, this one's short. Doggone it. See, now this one's short. Son of a gun, how did that happen? Yeah, see, you get the idea. It's still two. See, I can't move this any further than this. I don't think that's going to work. I mean, you can necessarily apply an open on left and right, but it's going to leave a big collision probably right here because I can't move this any further. And even if I did take, like in this section, I can do open on. I thought there was an option for both. I could do an open on left, which would be the left of this segment. It would be open, for example, but it just won't be open on the right. See, this is the when you consider, this is probably another fair mention. So like when you consider a open on left or right, when you do a right click on this, what's open on left, when you consider the segment, that means it's open on this side. So there's no collidable barrier. So like if you didn't put that open on left here, if you were to hit, try to cross this barrier, it wouldn't let you. It'd be like an invisible barrier. So when you make it open on left, and that might be our solution here, that'll allow you to cross that. Okay? As opposed to like open on right, if I set it to this way, that means this segment will be open, so you'll be able to cross that. Okay? So we probably don't need to be so concerned, I guess, with this as much as this. So that's what I'm considering, I guess, at this point. So you can select them both, so I can probably just leave them both checked. For that matter, because, for example, if you were to come to this area and you like overshoot it, you want to be able to go through there. You don't want this to be like a dead stop, like an invisible barrier. So that might not be a bad solution there. And this happens quite a bit with most road course builds, to be honest, as far as like you have that option to do open left and right. And like I said, that's considering this is the left side of the segment here, and this is the right side of the segment. So by not having those checked, that means there's going to be an invisible barrier there if you don't put something visible that you can see that it stops there. So I think that might be our solution, is just to do it that way. So what I can do from this point is take all these and move these up here, and I think this might work. So I can at least move all these X section here. I don't think this will let me do the Cladian. Let me see. Nope. Alright. That center line is going to have to be cut away inside per. It will not cross the segment. Oh, so are you talking about this one that I was just talking about as far as for making it open on left and right. Oh, I see what you're saying. So as far as the AI, so the AI won't go that way anyway. They'll just follow the center line. Is that what you meant? It's going to have to cut away inside the preferred line. Yeah. So, yeah, as far as the AI is concerned, laying your LPs down, they'll just follow between the LPs and the center line. Yeah, that's probably fair mention, now that you say that, James. So as far as, like, applying this open on left and right, like I was explaining before, that's only to the player car. Right. Yes, that's 100% true. And that's a fair point to make as far as, like, yeah, they won't leave segment bounds. So that... so, you thinking that probably won't work that way then? They won't exit the pits properly? By doing it this way? Is that what you're thinking? Because I was thinking, what I should be able to do is when I create the LPs, for the pits, that's what they'll follow. That's my theory, at least anyway. That's what I've witnessed, I guess, as far as other road course builds. The center line will have to deviate from the preferred line. So, where would I have to put the center line? Are you thinking? I guess that's what I'm trying to think of. If the center line's here, that's the path that I want them to go. Right. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying as far as, like, they wouldn't be able to... So, if the AI necessarily senses this X section here, they wouldn't be able to cross that. Yeah. I think I see what you're saying. So, I don't know how else to fix that then, to be honest, as far as to make this so that the X section's in far enough so where the AI is not being like, oh, we can't go that way. So that's still going to be a problem. So, yeah. No, I think I get you. I get what you're saying. So it's like, even though the track segment itself, the fact that this X section is crossing in here, as far as the AI is concerned, they'll be like, because they won't be able to cross that. So what I basically need to consider, and that's going to be a problem, between this X section and where this track segment is right here, they're not going to be able to cross that. AI cars, as far as a player car, I should say, wouldn't have a problem because I can open this on left and right, but AI will definitely have a problem. Trace the racing line, like the bus stop. Yeah, see, that's what I was considering too, but I still don't know how that's going to work as far as this area here. So I'd have to, when you're saying deviate, I would have to move the center line, go to this direction, have it go this direction, but then that's going to create a problem for them when the AI is trying to go through this way. So if I make this, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. If I take the center line this way, and have it deviate that way, then the AI will have a problem going this way, as far as normal racing. So for pitting it would be fixed, but for racing it would be jacked up. So I don't really know where to put the center line. That's my only issue. I would tend to think that the center line would make more sense to put it here and just create the segment well enough to where it's not constricting, I guess, AI, being able to cross over it like that. Starting the area to the right of the score tower where the wall ends. Okay. Work backwards from there and pre-pin. Yeah, but what do I do? That still doesn't explain as far as what I'm, doing this way. I need the center line on the racing, the preferred line, if you will. If I deviate it this way, that's not going to do any good, I guess, here. I guess is what I consider. I mean, you'll fix the problem with them exiting the pits, but it doesn't fix the problem with them being able to run the preferred line. I don't need it there. You don't. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what you're suggesting is, I guess, I would have to chunk out all of this. You know, 'cause this is basically where they merge right here. I'd have to chunk all that out and run the center line basically this way instead of this way. Right. Yep, and this is true. Okay, so what I'll do, let me try it this way. So I'm going to delete this segment. Forget everything I just said. And I'm going to delete these. We'll start this over. So let me bring this back. Alright, so let's see how this is going to go. We're learning some things. Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. I think it makes sense to satisfy both the let me bring this all back down now I think of it too. Yeah, that way when I do the prepends and all that stuff, it won't get all wonky on me. So yeah, as far as to bring the center line through here, I'll have the segment, as far as I'll have it'll make sense as far as when I do it. So no, not at all. I don't think you did at all. I think road courses can be very tricky, and that's another big reason why I wanted to do such a stream, because in my mind it seems like everybody has this notion that to build a track it's so simple. It's just like zip zam boom and it's done. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you have to deal with these types of things, and then they wonder why the AI doesn't work, because if I would have had it that way, it's like, scratch your head and be like, what the heck's going on? Like, why doesn't that work? And this is why we're doing these. This is kind of why I'm doing this. So what I'm going to do from this point is I'm going to send the center line this way instead of that way. I think I'm going to have to chunk out a lot more of this too, though. Yeah, so I'll have to chunk all this out as well. And basically focus on, yep, and that's exactly what we just did, to be honest. I mean, okay, so I'm going to turn this way, so it'll point more towards this one here. So by doing that, it would satisfy, I guess, as far as for pit exit as well as the actual preferred line, using that term loosely as far as preferred line. So let's scale this back. And I don't want to lose this area. I want to maintain that as much as possible. Alright, so now we will append a new curve. And we want to go dishware. See, that's already not going to work if I do that. So maybe I'll work backwards like you said. Let's try that approach. So we'll go work backwards from here. Oops. So I'll prepend curve. Let's try it this way and see what that does. See, now from even the way this goes, I'll be able to move that X section out. That's something else I'm taking into consideration. Hug the very inside. So yeah, let me see. Yeah, so let me change this trajectory. So I'm going to hug this as much as possible. This wall that's right here. So I'm going to prepend curve and grab this end. Oh shit, gotta be careful with that. Yeah, I want the bounding lines, I guess you could say, to be towards the infield. I don't want it that way, because that won't let me move the X section in towards the infield. So we'll see if this works. We'll do another prepend curve. Okay, this may not be too bad so far. Alright, so we'll move it this way. Okay. Don't like how that's kind of wonking out there, so let me try. Just going to make a little adjustment here. Okay, so I'm just going back and do a pre-pended curve. There we go. So let's try this way. Pre-pen another curve. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, pre-pen another curve. Yep, and this might actually work. Now I think of it, because I'm getting that. I need this area in this part of the infield, so. Okay, we'll pre-pen another curve. Might be able to do it straight there, actually. Yeah. But I would have to move. Okay, hold on. Let me change the trajectory of this just a tad. And let me pre-pen the straight. Oh, snap. Okay. But I think I should be able to move that this way, yes. Alright. Just looking to see how much adjustability I have. Okay, and as well as this, I should be able to move this out this way. Okay, I'm just looking to see. I'm not going to do that yet because I'm still prepending. I want to do that after. Alright, so prepend straight. Alright, and then I'll probably go with the curve next. Oh yeah, I think we're onto something here. I like how this is ending up, so let's do a pre-pen curve. Oh, buddy, I think this might be good. Alright, so it's attach, segment, at, head. There we go. So now we've moved it from going this direction to this direction. Now from this point, uh-oh, already got a problem, son of a gun. This is not going into that area. Neither is this one. Son of a... Dadgummit. So this one and this one still are not extending into that. Yeah. No, that does make sense too. Shoot. Okay, I just gotta think now. So this is fine here. Let me see if I can move this. I wonder if this will, I'm just looking to see if this will work. Gosh darn it. Yeah, see, that'll stop there. That's no good to me. Alright, so that's not gonna work like that. So we gotta do delete segment. Let me move this back this way. Yep. So I do get what we're saying. I gotta treat that as an apex of a corner. So it's such a sharp turn though. That's what's crazy. How far back do I need to go? That's the question. I'm gonna have to cut this thing like way down so that I can maintain some level of track segment, I guess, going all the way through this. So let me take this out. Let me try to prepend again, and I'll do a curve. Alright, this is probably the approach I'll have to take with it. Yep, so I'll have to do it like this. I don't like how that's cutting through there though. Yep, so I'm going to have to pay really close attention to that. Prepend curve. Alright, that might not be too bad as long as I'm getting this in here. I think I'm getting somewhere. This makes sense to me in my head. So I'm prepending a curve. Turn it this way. Let's see if we can... Nope. See, that's already coming short. Let me see if I can stretch this out. This might work. And it's going to cut in a little bit, but I think that'll be fine. Yeah, so I'll be able to move Let me try and attach this. That tail. Okay. I think that should work. So, because I got that room here. Oh, man, is that tight. Oh, damn, is that tight right there. This should be okay. This I'm not too sure about. That's just barely into that. Let me see how far I can move that. It might be okay, but let's... Yeah, that might actually do. I think that might suffice it. I don't like these curves in it, but I don't think there's much I can do about it. Tight but fast? Yeah. That'll work. Yeah. The only thing I don't like, and this is a common problem with doing this type of thing, it's got all these little whippy-doos. I can't straighten these out. That bugs me because as far as being able to apply an F section there, yeah, it's not going to let me do that. So I'm going to have to bring this as far in as I can, like this. So, yeah. But I do think it'll work, though. Yep, so I can stretch these all out. Now, this is what I wanted to do in the first place. And even on this part, I'm going to have to stretch these out this way. Yep, so I'm going to bring this all the way out here. Like so. Without touching this one, of course. I think this will do. And I do know for certain what's going to happen. Like with this little division that's in between these two X sections here, it's going to create a hole. So I'll have to, more than likely, have to model whatever walls exist here, as opposed to putting a geometric wall, because yeah, that's not going to allow for too much addition of a wall section or whatever. So yeah, from this point I can stretch these X sections out as far as I can take those without it touching this one. Let me zoom in on that. Alright, so that's, woo, man, it's closer than I like it to be. Yikes, that's close. Alright, so let's pull this out just a little. That is where small segments will help close as much of the gap as possible. In which area are you referring to? Or are you mentioning that I've already done that? Yeah, so I'm just going to move these out as much as I can. I'm thinking that should work. This should satisfy as far as being able to put a pit road, functioning pit road. Right where the score tower, small sections in here. Is that what you mean? I think that's actually not too bad right here. The only place I can see that might be a problem is right there. But other than that should be okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to split, so it's like I want to get the segments laid out the way they need to be honest. I don't want to have to split later on. So that's why I'm taking the initiative to lay the segments out first before I get to walls and all that stuff. But I'm already considering, like I said, as far as this area, is probably going to need a modeled wall as opposed to a geometric wall. If there isn't even a wall there, I guess actually when they run the roval, not sure. But this gap that exists between the two directions, I don't like how this is, how close that is. That's, let me try and see if I can make a small section there before doing F sections, because yes, 100% true. Yeah, so if you can do some of your splitting at all, if you do any splitting at all, you do it at this stage, as opposed to once you have all your F section is, because then you just got a freaking mess. There's a lot more cleanup. So, yeah, taking as much time and attention to detail on this stage as far as just laying your initial splines for the track shape is going to save you a ton of work. So, what I might consider is like what you were saying, James, is to put a couple of small sections in here so I don't like how close these two sections are. That kind of bothers me. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to try this. I'm going to delete this segment. Okay, and then I'm going to try to prepend again. Okay. Okay, I might have to Alright, let me see if this will give me the attach. Yep, don't attach head. Shit, that's still the same. Alright, so I guess I made it the same size. Oh yeah, I gotta make them smaller then. Dadgummit. Alright, so let me prepend. I'm going to make a couple of small segments here. And what like I said, what I'm primarily concerned about is keeping this not so close to this one here, because we're getting a little too tight there. Okay, so I'll prepend once again. Yeah, so that should leave it a little bit more room. There we go. So now let's see if I can attach a head. There, so that gives me a little bit more room. Some adjustability here, so I can leave a little bit of a cushion in between those two different directions. This one's going this way and this one's going this way. Okay, and then even more so, be able to move this out. And really all I'm really trying to do is just clean this up as far as how this looks. You can get real particular with this if you like. Probably. Yep. Good point. I'm just going to fix some of this just a little bit. But yeah, now that I've got this all, and see what this will satisfy, this is what we're trying to accomplish here. It kind of cuts through the course here, but I think that should be fine. The fact that I've got all this in here to be able to make this pit road work, the fact that this cuts through here, through the grass here, it shouldn't be a problem. Because I can design the LPs that function be it the pace car and the AI cars in such a fashion where it won't matter. You know, I can tell them exactly where they need to go. You know, as far as especially through here, not here. So like James was mentioning earlier, as far as the deviation, I guess, from the center line, that's not going to be a problem. What really is something to consider is the fact that they cannot, the way I had it before I did this, with that X section in the way like that, they can't cross that. That they sense that, and they can't, they don't know how to interpret that. So that's why you have to do it this way. So now when it comes to pit road, them being able to come off of pit road, they'll be able to navigate off of that and get back onto the track. So, and this, by doing what we just did here, that accomplishes that both. So what I'll do from here, say this is a new PTF. In fact, what I need to do is, whoops, got to get into a segment here and do a rebuild track. Just a right click in any segment, just rebuild track, and then save that as a new PTF. And a lot of people do necessarily miss that step too. When you initially lay your spline out, like we did way at the beginning, and you'd make any adjustments to your track, you want to apply that rebuild track before you save your PTF. So that's okay. I'm going to do track 4. Okay, we didn't crash. That's good. And I'm just going to confirm in my deal here. Make sure there's a... Yep, so we're good to go. Another way to have approached the layout would be to have brought the center line down to pit road wall. Which pit road wall did you mean? To bring it down all the way to here? I mean, it kind of already is. Or were you referring, I guess, to bring it down this way instead of out here? Come off a turn forward. Yeah. You could have. I don't think that would have been wrong. So instead of going this way, necessarily, you could have taken it this way, and you could still have the room to be able to spread it out. You know, spread your X section out there and then have your F sections and all that stuff. Yep, could do that too. So there's necessarily more than one way you could go about this. I think, to be honest, I think you would have a lot tighter turn if you were to go that route. Just thinking in my head, if you were to go down here and basically come down pit road and take the center line this way, you'd have a lot tighter turn to deal with. Do you think it would? I mean, I can do it. I don't have a problem with doing that. I think I would like to try it. But the way I think about it, you know, as far as what I just said, as far as like if I was to come down here, I'm just thinking in my head, if I take the center line down pit road here, as opposed to in the tri-oval, you would have a lot tighter turn to deal with as far as your apex. See, I had a lot more room to be able to do this. I don't think I would have that being able to do it here. I mean, I can do it. I can just do it as a throwaway PTF if anything, but I've got that one saved already, so that's not an issue. Let me try that. I'm gonna delete this segment, delete all these out. We'll just go ahead and do it. How about that? Executive decision. So I'm gonna back all these out. Yep, let's delete all these out. Yeah. No, I don't think it's a bad... I think, like I said, in my head, what would make sense to me, if I was to take the center line this way, it's going to be a lot tighter. It's going to be a lot more difficult to be able to get this corner. It's going to be a lot sharper than it is doing it this way. So I guess if anything, we can debunk that if necessary. So let me just cut this back a little bit. Give us some room. And let's see. I might be able to change the trajectory here just a little, like this. And I can move this X section out, so that's fine. So let's append a straight. Oh no, definitely don't want to do that. We gotta do a curve. Alright, so move it this way. We'll try it this way. Follow the outside of pit road, the end of the grass. Oh yeah, that might give it a little bit more room. Yep. So let me do that. So I'll change the trajectory here. Pen the curve. So let's follow this outside of pit road here. So that should give it, it's kind of like swinging out. You know, like consider yourself like a truck. So like you're giving yourself room to make this apex, because it's going to be such a sharp turn doing it this way. So we'll just do append straight. Nope. I guess we'll have to stay on a curve. Pen curve. Yep. We'll just do it this way. And now let's try straight. Ah, for crying out loud, let's change that. Ah, crap, I deleted the wrong one. That's alright. Pen the curve. Alright, so let's try it straight. That's not too bad. It kind of wanders a little bit. Okay, so let me adjust it a little bit more. Oh, you can detach the straight, move the endpoints. Yeah, I could do that too. I tend to just like to delete the segment altogether and just start from scratch and just take that tail, in this case here, and just move it. So let's try another curve. Okay, so pin is straight. Let's see how far I can take it. I don't like how that wanders, but I can do this pit road does angle. It's slightly angled. I do know that. Let's try another curve. Oops. See, this is what I don't want. I don't want that. I want that to stay on that side if possible. Alright, so pin straight. Nope. That's kind of curved. It's kind of going off that way. I don't really want that. So I'll pin another curve. You dirty rat's gonna do it anyway. Okay. Okay. Now you're getting a little fussy. Alright, so see if I do this. Pin the straight. Nope. Pin the curve. Sometimes you gotta play around. See, I don't like this. This is no good to me. Because, and I guess that will move out that way. Alright, so we may try that though. So as long as I can move this out here, that's fine. It's just kind of weird how it goes from that direction to this direction. But I guess that doesn't matter at this point. Okay. So we'll do try straight. It's gonna be a little crooked, but let's see if I can straighten it out a little bit. Let's try this. We'll make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, I don't like how it's wandering that much though. Okay, so let's move it this way. I'm getting real nitpicky now. I'll be honest. Okay, now let's see if I can do a straight. There we go. It's got a little jog right here, but I think that should be fine. Alright, now, this is where we got to basically anticipate this corner. So, let's try it this way. So if I do this, if I do a pre-pin curve, let's see what we can do this way. Can this be done? So I'll do another pre-pinned curve. Oh, gosh darn it. Pre-pinned curve. Wow, that is going to be such a tight corner. Okay, so hold on. I got to back it up a little bit. I'm really going to have to turn this in quite a bit to get that to work. So let's try pre-pinned curve. Oh, that's going to be such a tight corner. Alright. Same concept as what we were doing before, you know, the other way, as far as you got to consider like the apex of the turn, you know, as far as to let it swing out type of thing, as far as it be just an abrupt turn. So I might have to bring it like out closer to this score tower in this case. So let's bring it out this way. Okay, and then we'll pre-pin a curve. Oh man, that is going to be so tight. Okay, hold on. Let me try this a different way. So we'll go, yeah, let me take that out. Pre-pin curve. Okay. I know it's going to probably take maybe several of these curves. Okay, that's somewhat what I was thinking of there. So pre-pin another curve. Ooh, snap, that's going to be so tight. See, what it's basically going to have to do is like cut into this, the end of this pit wall a little bit in order to make that work right. So let me do this way. So it's going to have to go something like this. Okay. see if this will go. Holy smokes. That's a little bit too much. Okay, so a little bit more adjustment. Yeah, we're getting there. It's going to take a lot of playing around to see which trajectory we need. We're going to have to probably cut through this, though, as far as the center line goes. It's going to have to cut through this end of the pit wall in order to get it to work right. It's just how much it's going to do that is all. Alright, so let's do pre-pin curve. Oh, good lord, that's crazy. Okay, let's try attach it head. Yeah. So that, something to that effect. See, it's going to have to cut through that, but see, when you'll be able to move this X section for number one, okay, and then design your LPs, whatever, to go through that. So the center line isn't, it shouldn't matter too much. That's basically just the way the AI determined as far as like where the center of the track is, I guess, but that's not 100% true because the LPs, they'll follow. So it kind of goes somewhat against what I said earlier as far as like you want to pay attention as far as how you're laying your center line. They can't deviate from the center line. I guess that's fair to mention, but you want to have a general location as far as where the AI would primarily go. So this would work, I think. Let me see. Now that I say that, because can I extend? Let me see here. See, I don't like how close this is getting. I'd have to shorten that up some, because this is kind of bleeding into that other X section there. Oh, absolutely. This is why, I'll be perfectly honest, like as I said before, this is why I don't like doing road courses. Because there's so much to keep in mind as opposed to a regular oval. See, now what I'm having to deal with here now, by having it this way, is if I want to straighten this out, it's going to cross over that, and that's not going to be good. So I need to rethink this section, this segment here a little bit. Yeah, this is already curved. I don't know if I could put a straight in there. Let me see if I can prepend a straight. Let's see how that'll work. So attach and head. Okay. Oh, what the heck happened there? Whoops. Yeah, make sure I get the right one. See, that's, yeah, that curve that's in there, I might have to put straights in there. I don't like how it's so close to that X section and the fact that it has the tendency to want to cross. So let me delete this one. Try to straighten this out so I can put a straight. We'll do a pre-pin the straight. Let's see how this will work. I'll have to bring this back here momentarily. Alright, let's see if that will... Okay, not close enough. Ah, crap, alright. It's not letting me attach that. Okay, so... That's a straight. John Von, how we doing, buddy? You're just in time. We're getting into the thick of it now. We're trying to design ourselves a roval course. I don't know if you're into NASCAR at all, but this is it's kind of a oval and a road course all bound into one. Just doing, huh? Yeah, so I'm kind of struggling a little bit here as far as not... I don't think I can combine Now that I think of it, John Von, you have to work this evening? I think you worked. I thought you worked at third shifts. I think you mentioned. Not that I'm arguing. I'm glad you're here. But I know you got sick there. I know you and I was talking, so you're off tonight. Nice. Glad you decided to stop by here. See what I got going on. Much appreciated. You can watch me struggle here a little bit as far as figure out how I can connect the splines here, as far as like so that I have a nice clean line. Because I have this one going in this direction and this one's going in this direction. I cannot have these cross. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish at this point. Alright, so I think I can extend that. That should be good. I won't troll too much. You feel free to ask any questions. I mean, that's kind of my oh good, I can detach this. Nice. That's kind of the philosophy we have with this. It's like there's no dumb questions. The only dumb questions are the ones not asked. So good one, James. Is that your identification of a troll? That's pretty funny. Alright, so this might work. I like this so far. I think I should be able to stretch this and keep this somewhat straight. Not too bad. I can live with that. And then this should all be able to be stretched out this way so that they can use this part of the course as well. So the center line will go through this way as opposed to this way where we originally had it. You like that? I tried to clean it up as best I could. I mean, looking at it, in theory, it should work. I think we accomplished both things that we were trying to tackle, as far as the AI not being able to use that part of the pit road the way we had it going this way, and then having all that trouble with the track segments, I guess, being blocked off and all that stuff. I think this looks pretty good. Looks pretty even this way. Yeah, be a lot cleaner too. The other thing I think of doing it this way, as far as that pit road, as far as like not having all those wonky X sections in the infield there, and with all the loop-de-loops and stuff. Where would it need to be split yet, you think? I don't think anything needs to be split, to be honest. Even if I go as far as to stretch this out, we've already satisfied being able to use this part of the track, as well as in through here and all this noise. Yeah, so you might have to be able to bring the outside out as far as needed in turn one. Oh, so are you considering, I guess, to do this part, you mean? Yeah, as far as to bring this out further. Because, yeah. I guess what I was thinking, as long as... Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Now that I see that. Yeah, that's cutting in too much. He's making a left turn. Yeah. No, I see that now. I guess I'd missed that as far as... Yeah, so this boundary here, not being able to... Yeah, so I'll probably have to... Well, I can do that right now, actually. Let me go ahead and save this. I'll rebuild track. And then I'll fix that. I can make a couple different segments there so that... Yeah, it's going to have to go much further out. Yep. This one has both. That's why it's considered a roval. In fact, I can zoom out here for a second, just to give you an idea. So this both has left and right turns there, John Von. So you make a left, you make a right, make another right. Yep. This has got everything in it. So yeah, what I'll do, right click on this, I'm going to rebuild track and save that as a new PTF. Track 5, we'll call that one. And it crashed. Ain't that a bummer? Okay, so that's no problem. We still got the other PTF. You dirty rotten thing. See, this happens. We've already gone through this, so yeah, that's a dud PTF. I think we can still fix it. So we'll have to redo that again. But going into it, we know what needs to happen, so that is the problem with using this utility. This funky thing we call the sandbox. Yes, welcome to sandbox. Yeah, exactly. So if you don't understand as far as why it takes a year, yeah, get your hands dirty in the sandbox a few times. You'll get it. What the heck was that? Do I got two open? No, that's the camera. Okay. So I wonder what the heck was going on there. Okay, just gotta. There we go. So now let's go ahead and open up our track 4. That one we know is good. Okay, so we gotta do this again. Yep. See, this one we'll have to do it all over again because we still got the center line goes this way. That's what we were trying to. It's always when you zoom out and go, yep, that's damn good, crashes. Yep. Exactly. James, you get the struggle. You can't let it do that to you though. Can't let it do that. If you have no patience for this type of thing, you shouldn't be doing it then. I guess that's probably another fair mention to as far as going into this. If you don't have the patience, I mean, back in the day when I first started doing this, you know, I would have necessarily got so frustrated that I said, piss on it. I'm done with that crap. But I've come to understand as far as like what makes it crash, and if it does crash, as far as like, you know, saving a new PTF, say for example, so you have something to fall back on, these types of things. This is why I'm going over these types of things as well. So the only thing we have to do here, we're going to unlock all the geometry and just chunk that all out again and just have to redo that. Not a big deal. Alright, so we're going to delete, and we will keep in mind that that one segment coming into this one here, coming in front of the score tower, has got to be probably more than one big swooping segment. It's going to have to be probably a couple, because we're going to need to be able to move that segment to come out as far as it is right now here, because they need to be able to come through this area. So the first time you get through this and get into game and make a lap, the feeling of, yeah, that's it. Exactly. It's the satisfaction of that is what makes it worthwhile. So yeah, I'm just going to delete these segments back out again. Try that, make a straight for pit road detached and attach after its line. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I want to get these all deleted out first and go from there. Whoops. Yeah, let's get all these out because we don't need these. Take all those out. Darn it. Stop doing that. Okay, I might have to zoom in. Sometimes this is where you find out you have to zoom in to make sure you can get all the stuff. Why is it doing that? Hello? There we go. Delete segment. Delete segment. Yeah, so we're just going back to where we started once again. And I'm going to have to change the trajectory on this to go down pit road here. Now, try that. Make a straight for pit road. Wait a minute. Maybe I don't know what you meant there. So are you thinking that should I start on pit road and then just prepend? So like just make this straight and then just line that up with it, you think? She can do that. Like, I can go, well, that won't, no, I guess I don't know what you mean. So, make a straight for pit road. Let me see if this will, yeah, but I would need something to prepend or append from. So, like, if I do it from here, I think I kind of get what you mean. So I can go like this, and I can create a straight like this, and then just go like this. Yeah. Yeah. So just create this entirely straight. Right. And then just prepend or append from that. Right. So let me do it this way. All right. Yeah, so I want to keep in mind to the outside edge. Okay. Yep, I remember we did that too. Kept this as close to that outside edge as possible. This, I can necessarily change the trajectory here. Now, let's see if I can prepend a curve here. Holy smokes. Why the piss is that so big? See if this works. So if I do this, attach head. Okay. I like that so far. Now it's just to deal with this end. So let me see if I can do. Let's see. Yep, I like this idea so far. So let me see if I can stretch this out here and then make probably 2 curves. So I know I'm going to need enough, like you said, to stretch it out all the way to this point. So let me try 2 curves. So one here. Oh, is that going to be enough? Let me see. And then another one. Is that going to be enough? Oh, man, that's sharp. Okay, that's not going to work. So let me try it again. Let me try it again. Let me scale this back. Make this a little shorter. Prepend a curve. Prepend another curve. Okay. That might still work. Okay, prepend another curve. I might have to try a straight. Or let me try to prepend a curve. I don't like how that's going, so let's see if I can bring this there. Yep, let me see if this will work. It's not give. Oh yeah, it is. Hold on a second. Attach a tail. Ta-da! I think that might be. Now, does that give us enough room to stretch this out? That was the whole point of doing that. Crap, still doesn't. So I have to make another segment in here because we would need to split this and we need to move this all the way out. Actually, now that I think of it, that might not be too bad because look at where they turn in right here. That might actually work. And I'm good here as well as far as that the pit road is concerned. That might be good. Yeah, because it's got that turn right there, so that shouldn't be restricted for the AI there. Alright. Cool. Alright, so let's check that. I don't think it's terrible at all either. So, now, I can stretch this out. as far as I can take it. And that'll still allow... Oops. Now, here's the other thing. You know, as far as doing that all straight, I'm not going to be able to put all this curve in here. So, doing the pit road, I guess, completely straight like that, that may not work that way. Yep. See, you got it. I'm still going to need those curves in here. And I don't think... Let me try this real quick. If I insert an F section, yeah, see, that's all going to be straight. That's the only problem, I guess, with making that entirely. So from this point, yeah, I might have to split it. Now that we got this all done, yeah. So this is a good time to do that if you're going to do it at all. I'm not going to keep that. I just want to see. Yeah, but if you're going to split at all, you want to do it at this stage. But, you know, doing it in such a fashion that we did to get not only the pit road straight, but to get this curve like we did, that was the best approach, I think. Now, from this point, we can split it up as far as where we need, you know, to even include something else I didn't consider is the openings in the pit wall. So we can factor those in as well, because these openings in the pit wall, we want those to exist as well. So from this point, we can go ahead and, in fact, before I do that, I'm going to rebuild track and do a file. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Let's cross our fingers. Track 5. Don't crash. You son of a gun. Son of a gun. Okay. It crashed again. Alright, so got to figure out what is necessarily wrong as to why it's crashing. So I'm going to delete those. Those are junk. So we got to do it again. We have to do it again. Alright, so we still got this one. This is what's nice about having a PTF to revert to. I haven't lost too much work. Okay, so bring that back up. Alright, so you dirty rat. I didn't want you to do that. I don't know why this monitor is being so goofy like that. I can see it in my streaming software, but on the monitor itself it's like, what in the hell? Okay, so just give me a second. There we go. One thing can be the intersection being close to the inner radius. Basically the spline is trying to fold. Yeah, and that could be. No, it's not going to a black screen. It's not going. Like, I can just notice that when I'm moving, I can see it actually moving on my streaming software, you know, the OBS, but I can't on my actual monitor. So, and it could be as simple as that. But I'm gonna go ahead and load this real quick, and then I'll turn the monitor off and on really quick. This loads so quick, so because there's nothing to it. But yeah, we're right back to where we started. Let me do that really quick. Since you mentioned that, John. Just turn the monitor off and turn it back on. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it just made it need a bit to refresh. It's probably all it was, so we'll see if that's all it was. Alright, so you want to waste 14 hours straight without getting anything to show for it? Open. You're not wrong. Alright, so I'm going to right click and unlock all geometry. And what I need to do once again is to chunk out, delete all these segments. Now I'm going to take the same approach that I did last time there as far as creating a straight on pit road and all that good stuff. So we know what we need to do. Let's just you know, the fact that it's not that much, you know, and saving it as a new PTF and having something to refer to, since, you know, application like Sandbox does not have, you know, an autosave or an undo for that matter. You have to get into the habit of doing that as far as saving often. And the best time to do that is when you're making these major types of changes, as I've been doing. Gosh darn it, I need to zoom in on that. See, when you find yourself, and this is something I've already mentioned, when you're not getting all the options, when you're right-clicking in a segment, just zoom in. That's the best approach. So like if you're not, so like when you're zoomed out, let me show this again. So like if you're right-clicking on this and you're not getting all the options like I was, just zoom in and then right-click on it and you get, there you go. Okay, so chunking all these out. They're going to make a liar out of me. Alright, so I think this is where we started. I changed the trajectory of this one just a little. And then what I do on pit road, right click on this, I'm going to create a straight. And then I can just stretch this out. And we'll be able to split that once we get it done. So now I'm going to prepend a curve. Holy smokes, yep. So we're back to that again. It's making it huge. Huge, I say. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back. Hello? Alright, see, this is what I'm talking about. I got to zoom in. Bring that back. There you go. Work with me. Alright, so I get that. See, when you start seeing these double lines for the center line, that's when you know you should have the attach option. So just right click and attach, and in this case it's the head that we're attaching, so that's all attached now. Okay, so we got that end. Now we need to bring this out here. Now we need to work with this again. Alright, so I think I ended up having to change this just a tad, and then I created prepended a straight. Whoops. Gotta move that in just a little bit more. Alright, I'll prepend the straight. And then I should be able to extend. I think that's what I did, when I can remember. Alright, try that again. Prepend straight. There we go. Go dishue. Alright, then let's see if I can bring this out as far as I can. Now, this is where I got to consider how many segments I'm going to have, because I need to be able to come out as far to this as possible. Okay, I already had that accomplished before, so I just have to keep that in mind. Alright, so I'm going to prepend a curve. Okay, that's probably not going to work, but maybe. Let's try that. So if I do right click, attach at head, there we go. So it automatically will line all this up. So I like the curve, that's for sure, but is that going to be enough? So it probably isn't. Nope. So I'll probably have to split that in order to get this, because I need this to come out all the way to here. So I think that's probably what I'll do. I'll just go ahead and split it. And the way you do that, just select a segment, and you have the two yellow bounding lines. Just right click inside of it, and we're going to split the segment. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to find out. Okay, so that should work. Looks like. Yep, it got me out to where I need to go. So I needed to be outside of this curve right here. I might have to split this one too, because I need this one to come out just a tad more. Actually, that should do it right there. I want to be careful I'm not touching that. Okay, let's make sure that it's good there. Oh man, those are getting awful close together. Yeah, I don't really like that, so I might have to split that one again. just so I can have some adjustability there. So let's right click into that and we'll split it right about there. Something to keep in mind too, I guess, when you do the splits like that, it'll automatically turn these are for banking. What that automatically does is it changes them, I think it's forward to back. I think what I always make sure when you split is you want to change these to mode absolute. Just right click them and change them back to mode absolute. I'll probably end up having to adjust that later on, but for now I want to keep them all mode absolute. So that's something always to consider when you split track segments, as it'll move it away from mode absolute for whatever reason. That just seems to be something it likes to do. So always keep that in consideration. So I'm going to double check all of these to make sure, yeah, these are all mode absolute. And it'll be a white square as opposed to you had no idea you can change it in the main window? Really? Yeah, you can do that right in there. So it's like, sometimes you have to zoom in to actually get to that, but like you can right click that and it has all the options. You can do a forward, back, left, and right. And right now we just want to keep it relatively flat up until we start messing with applying banking and all that stuff. So yeah, just want to keep them all that. But yeah, you can do it there as well as in the height view. There's a height view, and I can bring that up really quick. This is primarily, I guess, where you would adjust a lot of that type of thing. So like when you're in here, let me just focus on this. Let's see. It might not even have anything. Yeah, so like this here, you'll have the white square, and it'll tell you how much bank it is. Right now it's 0 degrees. You can right click on there and it gives you the same options. That's in the height views. So you can do that both in the main window as well as the height views. Alright, so I'll turn that height view off for now. Okay, so now we got this. Now I want to make absolutely sure that there should be no reason for this to crash. Everything is attached. There's nothing touching. I could probably move this just a little bit more. Give this a little bit more breathing room. Okay, just double checking to make sure there shouldn't be any issues with, yeah, that looks even better now. That's even more precise there as far as going down this here, and then they'll still be able to go down this, as far as the turn 1 here. Obviously I haven't adjusted any of this yet, but I want to save this again. I'm going to cross our fingers again. I need a crossing fingers emote. Alright, so I need to right click on this segment here and rebuild it. You can never forget that. Whenever you're making major changes like this from a previous PTF that's loaded, when you're making these types of changes, you want to do a rebuild track. Always, always, always. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to do a new save. I already dumped that other track 5. So I'm going to save this. Cross our fingers. Damn it. I don't know why it keeps crashing. I honestly don't know why it keeps crashing. Alright, so we're back to square one again. So yeah, you'll definitely, you need to get the hang of, get used to, I guess, as far as that happening. A lot with that application. I mean, granted, that's not a whole ton of work that you need to do, I guess, to, I didn't have a lead segment even before, to be honest. When I had it going out to, the other way instead of going down pit road, I didn't have one even then. So it shouldn't matter. that saved fine or whatever before. Yeah, that's what exists in track 4. That's the one I have been keep loading. So I don't think that should matter, to be honest, but maybe that's something, because there's nothing touching that would force it to want to crash, so I don't know why it's doing that. Alright, there we go. Now, yeah, see, ever since I turned that monitor, turned it back on, it seems to be working better. It always sets segment 1 as a head of the... You know, that could be. You know, the fact that I did that, the pit road the way I did, it may have changed as far as what it was considering as segment 1. That's a good point. Okay. So I might have to look at that. So I might have to physically assign a lead segment so that it knows that that's segment 0 in this case. So let me load this again. We're getting some practice, I guess, on this. That's for sure. This is like third time is charm, I think it is now. Holy smokes, I'm just realizing we're well over 3.5 hours into the stream. We've made a lot of progress, that's for sure. A lot of stuff discussed. I do necessarily want to keep this as well under 4 hours as possible. So I'm going to try not to waste too much time. And that's primarily only because of the archives I like to put up on YouTube. I don't like to make them so drawn out. I'm probably most likely going to turn this into a several stream series as far as spanning this across several Spline Design Studios Saturdays. So, yeah, well, you learned something, I guess, with the mode absolutes, you know, as far as on the X sections and what have you. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I can cut them up. I don't like doing that, though. I found that when I cut them up or whatever, the video quality goes to poop. So I figure as long as I keep them at 4 hours, then I don't have to worry about it. Because then it just takes forever, because my internet sucks. I mean, it's just... I'm lucky, you know, on a 4-hour video to be able to upload it to YouTube as an archive. It takes at least 12 hours. And that's no joke. I have to let that go overnight. When I cut them up, you mean? I don't know. I haven't figured that out. As far as I always create the video as far as the same bit rate and whatever as I'm streaming. But yeah, I always struggle with that, having to cut them up, so I don't like doing it. And like I said, it's plus the fact that if I go over 4 hours with the videos, as far as uploading it, it takes a good... It's been taking anywhere from 8 to 12 hours for it to completely upload and be able to publish it. So that's how shitty my internet is. So Twitch will upload to YouTube for me. I didn't know that. You have to clue me in on that. I didn't know that was possible. If Twitch will upload it for me automatically, that'd be a time saver. Alright, so then I gotta delete all these out again. We're gonna get this thing done yet, fellas. You can let Twitch upload and then use the YouTube editor to simple cuts. Yeah, I do know that about YouTube, about doing the simple cuts. But I didn't know Twitch would automatically upload. You might have to clue me in on that. Right, and that's primarily when I cut it. I'm doing it on my own machine, and like I said, I use this Vega, the Vega 16 or whatever it is, and I'm able to put it at all the same audio, as far as the audio bit rate and what have you. And it's like every time I upload it on there, the videos are just shitty. I don't care for them. They're not as quality as it was based on the raw video. Because I do, that's the other thing too, I do save the file locally to my PC. That's another reason why I have a lot of the raw files as far as the, saving it to locally. So that's another reason. So I'm just going to delete these all out. No, I don't. When I use Vega, I don't have it re-encode. I set all that stuff manually because like I said, the bitrate I've been able to stream at is 3200, and as far as the audio codec and whatever, I put that all in manually in Vegas. So, but for whatever reason, when it goes onto YouTube, it does something to it. I don't know why, but it's never 720 when I cut the videos up locally. So that's why I've stopped doing it that way. Yeah, just gonna chunk these out. Yeah, I'm not sure about. Yeah, I set all the codecs, as far as the bit rate from which I stream, which is 3200, and I forget the audio. I set that all manually in Vegas, and every time when it's done rendering as far as the video, and I go to to YouTube, it's that transition from as far as through Vegas, it's fine. But when I upload it from Vegas, in that MP4 format up to YouTube, that's when it goes stupid. Yeah, the quality just stinks on it. So, and it'll say 720, but I can tell the degradation that exists in the video. You can clearly see it, and it doesn't look good. So, yep, it's definitely odd. What I'm getting at there should be, yeah. See, you might have to clue me in on this a little bit, because what I know about as far as being able to edit your raw video, and like I said, I save it all locally. Even as I'm speaking right now, I save the stream locally, only for Saturdays, so that I have something to refer back to. And I make my own cuts, as far as clips and stuff like that, in comparison to what Twitch provides. Okay, so I think we're where we need to be. Yeah, so the only thing I'm going to have to remember, like James suggested, was to make sure that I have defined, I guess, what is the lead segment. So, yeah, we'll make sure we do that, I guess, prior to saving it again. That's what we're hoping. That's all the issue was there. So I'm going to create a stretch this out this way. Okay, I'm going to work on turn 4 here first. You can link YouTube to Twitch and have videos upload when you want. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't even aware of that. You have to clue me in on that. I thought he had, because I've been taking all my raw videos that I have saved locally to machine and just uploading those to YouTube. Did not know Twitch had even allowed that, to be honest. Okay, so I need to prepend a curve. Yep, that makes it huge. Alright, so we need to scale that back. Zoom in on that. Bring it over this way. Alright, and then we just need to attach that head. So that part's good. Very good there. So now we just got to deal with this end. Once again. Alright, so should be able to do a straight, prepend straight. Alright, bring it this way and then prepend a curve. Like so. Let's see if that's going to be enough. Yep, and I think I did end up splitting it even from this point, so that's fine. So we'll do attach at head. Okay. Now I'm going to have to split this because I cannot get this out that way. So I'm going to split this segment right about in the middle. Oh shit, I guess I didn't do it. Alright, try that again. Split segment. There we go. See, and there's where it changes it to Whoops, let me zoom in on that. So see how it changes it from mode absolute to, in this case, forward back. So I always switch that back to mode absolute. Alright, so I'm going to move this out this way. That should do it there. So make sure, I might have to split this one too. Let's see here. I might split this one again just so I can adjust this a little better. So let me split this right about there. Change this to mode absolute. I think that's what I did last time as well. This way I can kind of adjust this, give it a little cushion in between those two different directions. Okay. Yeah, so that should work. Now, let me just move this out this way. Now before I do any more splitting, I'm just going to make this the lead segment. And I can do that right clicking in there and just make lead segment. That's what I didn't do last time, so we'll hope to see. Take a look around and see if it has created a lead segment anywhere. I really do think that's, yeah. So what I just did, I just created my own lead segment on this one here. And I know that'll be split, but yeah. So I just made this the lead segment right here, as it says right there. So that should be all I needed to do. So we'll try that. And if it doesn't work, we'll cross our fingers again. That's probably an emote I'll have to consider. Cross our fingers. I was curious if it had moved it. It probably did. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, because when I started off there, I started off right here at the start finish line. That would have been segment 0 automatically. But because I deleted all that out, it probably moved it somewhere else. It might have even moved it up here or down here, you know, without checking that, I guess, before I did all that work. Then I would have to assume it probably did. And because I deleted all that out, because the lead segment would have been initially right here, and then it just built out from that. So that would make sense that's why it, would do it that way. So now that I have clearly defined, I've right-clicked on here and just verify again. It's make a lead segment. So now I've defined my lead segment. So now we'll go ahead and cross our fingers again. Save as. Here we go. Crossing our fingers. If this crashes again, then I don't know, because that's kind of crazy. Here we go. What the heck? Oh, automatically centers. Oh, you know what? I didn't do a rebuild. See, you'll get this notification here too. If you don't do the rebuild track, see, I didn't do the rebuild, you'll get this. So what this is asking you is automatically center save track. You want to always say yes. Always. So that one I think worked. Yeah, never say no to that, because it will corrupt your PTF. So when that's the kind of a clue that tells you that you didn't do the rebuild track, because when you do that rebuild track, it automatically will do that for you. It'll recenter the track. And because I didn't have, the lead segment got wonked out or whatever as far as deleting all those segments, that's probably what was making it crash. So that's just a fair mention too, as far as like Sandbox will, it's somewhat friendly in that regard, as far as to tell you, as far as like, whoa, you sure you want to do that? But on that thing that it brings up there, as far as automatically center, always, always, always want to say yes. Always. I can't say that enough. Always got to say yes. All right, so it looks like that saved properly. Yep. So we do have some. Cool. So that is a legit PTF. So now what we can do from this point, now we got that saved, and we can split up this this segment here, as far as the pit road, to not only take consideration for the curve that is on the tri-oval, but also these openings in the pit wall. And I'll zoom in here a little bit more. So these wall openings that are right here, we want those to exist as well. So I'll take those into consideration too when we split. So as I've kept mentioning all throughout the stream, if you're going to do any splitting, I guess, to your track design, this is the time to do it. Before you get all your F sections, your W sections, as far for your walls and stuff like that, this is when you want to do any splitting, if you do any splitting at all. Because otherwise you're just creating a bigger mess for yourself as far as more cleanup, as far as your track textures for your F sections and your W sections for your walls. So center line has to have a lead segment in order to... See, and I think it probably did, to be honest, but without checking it, I can't really clarify it, but that's probably what it was. Where it would actually put it, that's what I don't know. Keeping in mind, splitting will make banking more... Yes. Yeah, so like, the more you split, so you need to still have some reservations in splitting, because if there's any banking, like if you make your splits too small and your segments for that matter too small, it's gonna be a pain in the rear end to get rid of the any bumps. You'll get like little divots or whatever in your track. The bigger your segments are, the better. And I say that loosely because if, say for example, if I was to make this segment, split this up here and make it really tiny, like maybe only 2 or 3 meters, that's bad. If you can avoid that, then do so, because all that's going to do is necessarily create a divot as far as the banking that you would necessarily want to try to create on, let's just say, this part of the track, and it's gonna be a pain to get rid of it. So yeah, I'm coming up to the close here to be honest there, James. I appreciate you being here. I think it's been pretty insightful. I think it does give plenty enough information for sure. Definitely appreciate the resubscribe. That's awesome. John Vaughn's joined us here too. I hope you've learned some things or two. I mean, and I don't think it's necessarily something you necessarily divulge into, but I definitely appreciate you stepping into my realm, I guess, for a tad bit. If you can get a layout of this in 4 hours and have some sort of sanity left, oh yeah, I've still got plenty of sanity left. I've grown patient, I guess, with doing these types of things, because even with all the crashes and stuff that I've gotten, getting this laid out, even where it's at right now, it's a huge accomplishment in itself. What's going to be the next biggest task is to not only get the textures applied, as far as your W's and F sections, that's going to be the next biggest task, as well as to get textures on those different facades. But then to get the banking applied to it in as much of appropriate fashion as possible, that's going to be another phase. So these are the types of things that I'll go over, within the next probably 2 or 3 streams, as far as to get it, actually usable. So this is just the first step, and I think, to be honest, I think that's about a pretty good place, I guess, to stop it, to end the stream and just kind of call it good for there. I think that's a lot of information that's been gone over, and look forward, I guess, to continuing with the series, as far as to make this an actual usable track, get it in the game, and actually be able to test on it. So get X sections to define racing surface, and see, like these X sections that are in here, these red lines, those you primarily won't use for anything. That's just what is defined to you, I guess, sandbox by default. And without going into too much more detail about that, it's like those primarily just get pulled out, I guess, as far inwards or outwards as possible, and you just don't even use those. You don't even use those. The X sections that you will apply, I guess, to for your banking and stuff like that, you'll put those in manually. And I'll go over that within the next, 2 or 3 streams, I guess, as far as covering the scratch build of this track. So, like I said, I won't go any further with that, because this is probably, in my mind, a perfect place to stop it. But like I said, appreciate any and all that stopped by to see what we had going on for Spline Design Studios Saturday. And if you haven't necessarily already, be sure to hit that follow button so that you don't miss any more of it. I'm that much closer still, I guess, to the sub goal as well as the follow goal. And we'll remind everybody, as far as, make sure you save up your shots of adrenaline. Shots of adrenaline will be used for the giveaway once those 2 goals are met. There will be at least one giveaway, regardless of which one is met. Be it either the sub goal or the sub goal, or the follower goal, I should say. So yeah, given some incentive, I guess, for viewers, I guess, to engage, I guess, more in the chat. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. So yeah, it is a pretty good base to say, oh, you gotta get your last minute flips of the coin in there, and you just got yourself, oh, you got a nice hefty piece there. Nice. Enjoy that adrenaline as much as you can there. It's like I said, save those up, or you can even just let it sit there and course through your veins if you like. I mean, but primarily the use of the shots of adrenaline, the primary use for it is to be used for future giveaways. So yep, and as my bot seems to be working here, so that's good. Yeah, just gonna close up there. So I hate to make it a really abrupt stop to it, to be honest, but feel free to stick around, I guess, for the host. I will be hosting a channel once the stream ends. But for now, I say Viking Dios, adios, and all that good stuff. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.